All right, let's get started. I'd like to call this meeting of the Bethel Inland Wetlands Commission regular meeting agenda for November 27th into yeah, we'll start it at 7:03. Let's start with introductions. Greg Johnston, Vice Chair. We'll start with Nico because he's online. Nico.
Hi, Nico Jordan, Commissioner.
Marcel, alternate commissioner.
Danielle Monroe, alternate.
Kevin Seaman, Commissioner. Dave McCollum, Inland Wetlands Agent.
Mary Churchill, recording secretary.
All right, I believe I can see both alternates today.
That's correct, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
so
You
let's
can seat them for Pat Parafort and Laura Ferguson.
Okay, so we'll seat Pat for Pat and Danielle for Laura.
Very good.
We can start with site plan reviews. So up first is 36 Codfish Hish Road. So let's start with Codfish.
Who is here to speak? It's 50
I'm
thick
sorry.
codfish.
Back. I'm getting older than I think.
No worries.
56.
Good evening. For the record, Mike Mizuko, personal engineer representing the applicant. And at the previous meeting, we submitted a draft revised plan. And we addressed majority of the staff comments and the comments from the consulting engineer. And we talked about plantings. And I was waiting for Jim McManus to get back to me, and it took quite a little while to get back to me, but he finally came through. And so we added a row of arborvitaes and then some other plantings just around that end of the western end, southwestern end of that vernal pool.
Right.
And for that, we had a landscaping legend and a few notes in addition to what was previously submitted in the draft. So that's kind of where we're nothing really major since the last submission, but
And it's worth the commission noting that we used a digital version of these revised site plans was given to us last Wednesday. I believe. So they were in the Google Drive.
Right. So David, did you have any comments?
Not at this time. The items that I had requested the engineer to address. The commission should feel comfortable with their responses. The applicant's engineer also forwarded their responses to our consulting engineer, Todd Ritchie from SLR International Corporation. I did not hear any feedback or get any response comments from him, so I'm going to assume for all intents and purposes, he doesn't have anything else to say. Unless you guys have anything else that you want to discuss. I do have a draft resolution of approval that if you guys wanted to table this for discussion later on in the meeting, you can review how that is written at that time.
Okay. Anybody else on the commission have any comments?
No, not at this time.
No.
Nope.
Nico?
Is that Nico or your dog?
Oh, Joy has comments.
That's the dog, but no, I'm all set right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nico. All right, so I guess we can table this for later in the meeting, or should we take a vote now?
I would table this. You do have a busy agenda. I think it's in the interest for everybody to keep things moving. And we can discuss this. What I would recommend is that you make a motion to table this and reconsider any drafts under your business items later on in the meeting.
Okay, so yes. All right.
does the draft now, do I need to stay around? Can you
Oh, I have it, if you would like to review the draft, I have hard copies, if you would
Okay.
like to take a look.
I just don't know if I need to stay around for that.
That you guys may want to amend how the draft is written. I would want to confirm with you that the conditions as I've drafted them are okay. If you feel that there are any revisions that you'd like to make, of course, I would let you know what those are.
Sure.
If you want to stay, then I certainly wouldn't discourage you from doing that.
All right, I mean, can I get a copy of?
Sure.
Sterling site you have tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll just take a quick look at it and then.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I feel like I should stay around, then maybe I will. If not, then let David know. I'm gonna.
Okay, okay, very good.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Right, so I make a motion that we table Codfish Hill to later in the meeting under business items for review of a draft of approval.
A second.
And all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Nico, you still with us?
Is anybody with us?
Nope, there.
Yep, there is.
I don't know where Nico is at the moment. His
muted.
camera and microphone are off.
Oh,
There you
Sorry,
go.
guys, technical difficulties. Is that better? Yeah.
You able to hear the what was brought forward?
Yep.
Okay, so we're an IRNA to table this until later in the meeting to go over a draft resolution that David typed up. There you
Okay.
go. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So next on the agenda is 42 Nashville Road. And who we had?
Steve Trinkus, consulting engineer.
Oh, Dave, I want to recuse myself from this one because one of the neighbors is a friend of mine.
Okay, very
So
good.
do
Then
have
I
to
would
go
ask,
outside?
I would ask you to recuse yourself from the dais if you don't mind.
Okay, so I'll go outside. or-
You can either wait in the audience or go outside, whatever's.
Okay.
So,
You're up.
yes, so Steve Trinkus for the record, professional engineer. We received some staff comments from David around mid-November. We provided a response and electronic copies of a response and revised plans on November 17th. Basically, he had questions on the E&S stuff, which was already on the plans. There was two areas of upland review. One was 0.09, the other was shown as 0.11, which if you round, they're both 0.1, but we changed the erosion narrative to be 0.1 to just be consistent. The only other issue was locating the stream on the west side of Nashville Road. What I did from the existing catch basin that we have on our side of the road, I went up basically at 25-foot intervals to the north and to the south. And then, from the western side of the road, measured from there to the edge of the stream with a tape. And that's how I got the location there. There was an old, David said there's an old Farnsworth map from the late 80s, which I would, having done surveying, I would take with a grain of salt because Farnsworth work back at that time was not very accurate. So again, that's how we just didn't pick one location. It's like every 25 feet and, I pulled the distance over and then, we plotted it that way. Todd Ritchie has reviewed it multiple times. We've addressed all of Todd's comments. And again, we're connecting to an existing catch basin, which goes under Nashville Road from the east to the west. The test pit that we had for the underground detention is all beautiful bankrupt sand and gravel. This is more of an overflow situation because I think every drop of water that goes in here is going to go into the ground and nothing's going to go to the town system. So, and that's it. So I have one set of plans if you want it. But again, this was all submitted back on the 17th. So.
David, any comments?
Mr. Trinkus, would you mind, can you spare that set of hard copies?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Mary, can you stand this in the that? Yeah, the front page, yeah, fine, thanks. Okay. For this application, it's pretty much what Mr. Trinkus said. My comments are my comments. You guys have to consider whether or not you agree with how Mr. Trinkus has approximated the location of the water course with him measuring it with the tape. If you feel that is a non-issue, then consider my comment just my comment. I would say for every application that you have reviewed in recent memory, you have had someone in the wetland science or soil science realm provide you with accurate information as to where a wetlands resource is. Now, I don't want to dive into this too much because I've already acknowledged that the wetland isn't on the property. So you're not really gaining much in terms of knowing where a resource is, but in terms of having it be shown on the plans, it's precedent, it's procedure, it's part of what you guys have always done. That's why it was brought to your attention. So if you want to pursue that, you can. The other item that that is included in your staff report, and I will bring up the site plans again, is the scope of the area where work is proposed and where work has been done. If you look at the survey that is submitted as part of this application, its date goes to May 23rd, 2023 of this year. It is the commission should consider that this property has not always been in this configuration. In other words, this area has not always been flat, and this area has not always been sloped. This work to change this, for what I can tell, and I'm putting on my zoning hat here to some extent, but also my wetlands. This work was done this year, earlier this year, before May 2023. You should consider whether or not any changes that were made to get the property to where it was, or where it is rather, before this survey was done, requires some form of permit, whether it be part of this application, whether it's something that's under a separate application, or if it needs to be addressed at all. So it would be worth you having that discussion with the applicant to see what their thoughts are and what your thoughts would be on that. Apart from that, my comments are my comments.
Dave, for clarification, if I remember correctly, this application went to the P and Z board first because it was not known that there was a potential impact on the inland wetlands?
Well, no, it wasn't that there was an impact. Let's make sure we have this phrased correctly. Not a problem. So there is a water course that is across the street from this property on Nashville Road. It's shown here on this existing conditions map that I have up on the screen. When the application was submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission, this water course was not shown on that survey. I will pull that up for you. So there was no trigger for any staff to say, or for the consulting engineer, Todd Ritchie, the person who caught it, to say, hey, there's a regulated resource, and there's an ensuing regulated upland review area where regulated activities may or may not have taken place. If that had been caught, then this would have gone to you first,
Right.
instead of the order which it did, which is where we are now.
Right, so that was said much more eloquently than I did think. So,
You're welcome.
so my question was, if I'm understanding you correctly, there was work done before this appeared here, but was the work also done before it went through the permitting process for the other board?
With the Planning and Zoning Commission, that's correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Just further clarification, see strength of record. Most of the water course on the west side of Nashville is actually piped. We didn't know it was an open channel in that area. And a couple other points is, as we don't own the property, or Tim doesn't own the property on the west side of the road, a soil scientist cannot inspect it. And a surveyor also cannot locate the stream there. A surveyor may only trespass to locate corners for tie-in purposes. They can't trespass to locate other things like a house or something like that, legally, And some owners, quite honestly, having done surveying years ago, even didn't like us looking for iron pins on corners, but, we were legally allowed to, but other than that, surveyor cannot trespass. Regarding the work that was done, there was a cease and desist issued, and then there was a resolution signed by both Tim Draper and David on or about September 13th of this year. That basically says that, it should have a description of the excavation and grading. Well, that's kind of reflected here. We do show proposed, it says the 830G application shall identify the proposed final grades, proposed measures such as fencing, which are all on the site plans. So this is, we'll submit this just for the record, so you have it, in there, so that, So, it does show what the conditions are, and again, it was not known that there was an open water course across the road. It is extremely dense vegetation over there. And, when the surveyors, Matt Reynolds actually lives next door, and, when I went out there, there was some flowing water, but a lot of it comes out of the pond that's further to the south on National Road where the condominiums are. And when the pond does not discharge, there's no water in this water course either. So, it was, we missed it. If it was open there, it would have been located, but we obviously didn't. We didn't even know it was in the woods because most of it is piped.
Understood.
So,
Thank you.
I don't know if now is the time to ask, but how much of an issue would it be to put it as a stipulation to get a soil scientist or to have the wetlands delineation indicated by somebody of reference history, so we follow precedent?
the owner of the property across the road would have to give a soil scientist permission. If he doesn't, we can't do it. It's as simple as that.
Let's give it a shot.
Hmm?
Worst they can do is say no, right?
And
It doesn't
again,
hurt that.
it's about what level of information you need to render a decision or to be comfortable with the activities being proposed. If you think a soil scientist is the expert that's appropriate to do that, that's at your discretion. Otherwise, you can choose to have the water course represented through some other means. Previous surveys, I don't know what exists out there. The survey that was located may just be one resource that exists. There's GIS mapping that could potentially be used, not that I don't want to speak to its level of accuracy, but it's another reference that could be out there. Just so you know what you can consider, what you have to work with.
I'd like to just add to that. First off, an applicant is obligated to have a soil scientist look at their own property and delineate wetlands on it. There is absolutely no obligation to locate offsite wetlands. The only thing we can do as applicants is take the data from available sources. Sometimes GIS is clear in a meadow, you can do that. Older surveys, like I said, Farnsworth in the late 80s was not known for high quality work. So, that's questionable. What I did, and I did knock on the house next door and say, can I just measure? Nobody was home. I took it just to measure, but that's probably as accurate as it's gonna get. Because there's, you can either take it from GIS, which is probably pretty close to where I show it, but again, we're not affecting it. It's an existing drain that goes under the road. So the location of the water course really has no bearing. The upland review does go through, the middle of the proposed development area, but if it moves 3 feet closer, if it moves 3 feet farther away, it's still through the site. So it doesn't change really the upland review area.
So you didn't have permission from the homeowners to be on their property to do those
I did
measurements?
knock to see, You know, and one of the other neighbors came out and said, oh, I haven't seen anybody there. And I said, well, do you think it would be an issue to just measure across? And they said, I doubt it.
Okay, but for
So-
clarification, no.
Yeah, I didn't, nobody was home to ask directly, but I did ask. I know you can't trespass such as that. So. There is actually one spot where from the edge of the road, you can slide tape in across the ground where it's open to the water course, but that's the only spot. Most of it was woods. So.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember. Reviewing this the last time, there really was no more runoff that was gonna come off the property.
There's actually probably gonna never be any runoff going to that catch basin because of the sand and gravel that's there. It's all gonna infiltrate. This requirement is 25-year storm, and I believe at that standard, we still have zero discharge from the site, so. Most of the water goes into the catch basin, it's on Nashville Road. And that's pretty much what's all gonna be there later on in life.
Nico, you have anything?
Yeah, sure. Nico Jordan, Commissioner. I just wanted to make sure that all of the stormwater is getting treated before it goes to this catch basin and then to the water course.
There's two catch basins, standard 2-foot sumps in them. It's a very limited parking area. Tim is not using sand on the parking lot. There may be a little bit of chloride. So the 2-foot sumps are more than adequate. It's a very small area of pavement that goes to them, and most of the runoff is roof runoff, where there's no sand or chloride, being applied to it. And 1 yard drain behind it, which is a lawn area.
So is this water being treated though? Is that or not? Can you guide me through, Mr. Trinkus? Through the site plan here?
I mean, a lot of the treatment's gonna occur via the infiltration in the sand and gravel, but coarse sediments, if there are any from roof shingles, as an example, will get trapped in the catch basin sumps. And that's really it. The catch basins don't treat nutrients, but again, there's not a large lawn area going here.
Right.
A residential roof, while we do get atmospheric deposition of nutrients, it doesn't sit on the roof because the roof has a pitch. A flat roof would accumulate stuff to some degree, but again, it's a small building. And a lot of the treatment occurs via the infiltration into the underlying soils.
The infiltration, sorry to interrupt, can you tell me if I'm reading the site plans correctly then? I see, thank you, David, for bringing this up, an underground detention system.
Correct.
Caltech, okay. So that's like under the parking area, right?
Under the parking lot, there's two catch basins, one at the bottom of the page.
Yep, thank you.
Pump out is, and one at the top of the page along the curb line.
Oh.
Both to the Caltech, and then there are outlet pipes just at the north end that go to the catch basin. So water will come in at 2 points, infiltrate, coarse sediments will get trapped, leafy debris will get trapped in the catch basin. And then the water goes into this system and
Yep.
will infiltrate. I think it's important to note that while this is sized for a 25-year storm event, 85 to 90% of our storm events annually are 1 inch or less in 24 hours based on rainfall records. So all of that water will simply infiltrate into the underlying sand and gravel with no discharge.
Okay, so can you can we confirm, if my commission members don't mind, like following the trail of water flow from roof, parking lot? Dave, are you the one controlling the mouse, the cursor right now?
I am.
Well, there's
Can we do this together?
behind the building, we're grading from the building into the ledge slope. That's where there's a yard drain here, just simply, and then there'll be grade to drain swales to direct the water, anything that comes out of the ledge, which hasn't occurred yet, to this drain. This will then come to the roof drain in the southeast corner of the building. The roof drains will come around from 2 sides, on the north side and the south. The southern one goes to this catch basin, and the northern one goes to the other catch basin. The parking lot just drains as overland flow to either of the catch basins from the garage. It comes out, there's we set a high point, if I can, we set a high point right here. So from this line right here, this all drains to this catch basin. From this point here, it drains to that catch basin. And, then goes into the underground Caltech system before, it gets to infiltrate into the sand and gravel soil.
Okay, and is there an outlet from the Caltech system in case?
Yeah, there is on the north end of it, just to the left of the catch basin, there's a pipe that connects to the existing catch basin on Natural Road, which you always have to have an overflow provision.
That's the overflow. Okay, okay.
And that's what controls the peak rate attenuation if you had a 25-year event show up, which is 6 to 7 inches of rain.
Cool. So all of the driveway runoff is being captured as well into these two catch basins, you said?
Yes.
Okay. That's good, I guess, for me. I mean, there were other engineering comments that were more related to P and Z, but it had to do with water management on the upslope,
Yeah, that
between
was-
the building. Ground
That
level.
was changed to this current plan.
Okay.
Mr. Ritchie had those comments and we modified the plan to what you're looking at right now to address his comments, and he was fine with this.
Nice. So as far as I'll leave it up to my commission members, I guess. You guys were talking before about the water course and needing to do a formality of a permitting or a site. Sorry, Dave, help me out. A wetland scientist or something to delineate that wetland or something.
Well, it's,
I'm of a
It-
mind that we know
Other-
that it is. We know it's an open water course. We know where it is, so we should just treat it as such from a
Right,
practical standpoint.
that's understood, and this is
Oh,
why
okay.
it is at your discretion whether or not it is something that the applicant needs to address. I will note for the record that the appendix C of your regulations, if you go to item 1, or if you go to item 3, and I quote, locations on or near the affected property of any wetlands and water courses, bogs, marshes, and swamps as defined in these regulations. So it's not restricted to just this property. And there's another resource that I printed because I knew that this was going to be an item of interest. Of course, I don't have it in front of me. There it is. The Connecticut Department of Administrative Services Consultants Procedure Manual, which I cited in the comments, the response comments I had for you guys. If you go to 3.3.6.1 of those standards, and I quote, all surveys shall be performed by land surveyors registered in the state of Connecticut. The survey must include all areas that may be subject to construction operations, including access beyond paved roads and staging areas, include sufficient area, minimum of 50 feet from the proposed limits of construction to determine the consequences of drainage and wetlands. That's what that says. How you want to interpret that, it's left to you.
So that says that even if there's a water course or a wetland or a regulated, wetland resource off-site from a property, that the applicant is still responsible up to 50 feet, you said?
I'm sorry?
Up to 50 feet, did you say?
Include sufficient area, minimum of 50 feet from the proposed limits of construction to determine the consequences of drainage and wetlands.
Okay. Do my commission members have anything to say about anything we've been talking about?
It's not in my opinion, it's not a matter of distrust with whether or not. Best course of action has been taken to delineate. I also want to take into consideration precedent.
Right,
And
you mentioned that.
and it's not distrust for any particular applicant, it's consideration for future as well. That
Right.
I want to just put that out there, because even though I trust these guys, the dad might not trust the next person that come across our table. So to treat one application differently than anything historically kind of puts a bump in our precedent. And I just want to take that into consideration when making that decision.
We can ask the owner if he refuses, it's end of discussion.
I mean,
That-
in my
that's
mind,
as
it
that's
also
as
doesn't hurt
simple
to
as it
ask.
is.
Yeah.
And regarding the administrative services, that doesn't govern what surveyors or engineers do. We're governed by the code of practice under the Consumer Protection Department and what your regulations are. And again, they cannot delineate off-site. You can take it from available information. I have a site in Ridgefield where they had old topo from years ago. And same issue, off-site wetlands, and we approximated from old mapping and just put a caveat on there. This is taken from your topographic mapping, because that's the only thing you can do. Nobody has permission to delineate on another property without permission, but we can ask, and if it's not granted.
Then we'll have to work with what we have to work with, to be completely honest, yeah, it would just be
Here it is.
disservice not to ask, that's all.
Can I ask something, or?
Who the owner is?
Well, no, practically speaking, like, what does it do for us to have this applicant delineate the wetlands?
Really nothing. I mean, maybe it moves, the water course moves one way west, moves it a little bit east. It doesn't really change the fact that a good chunk of the site is within the 100-foot upland review. And will remain within the 100-foot upland
Yes.
review no matter where it is.
So
it
as
doesn't-
long as, yeah,
So,
so if
Nico, I
the
think-
applicant is treating it as such that there is a wetland resource there.
Nico,
That's
I
what we
think
care, is that what we care about? Isn't that what we care about as a commission?
what Kevin was saying, which I agree with, is that if we're requesting a survey be done professionally, it maintains the current precedent that is a requirement that we have to bring an application before this committee. And I would agree with you on that's a good standard practice to have in place. And I understand what the applicant is saying, and the applicant's representative, but I'd like to maintain that precedent.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave the technicality completely up to you guys then, and I'm gonna follow suit. But I just was thinking from what does it actually mean as far as like managing the wetland and protecting the wetland? Like they're treating it as if it's there, right? What?
In this particular case, I don't think it will have an impact, but it's definitely something that we should consider. And like I said, I don't think it should have any kind of change. Sometimes something crazy comes back and they say like,
Well, if the owner
that there's
doesn't-
some underground river that flows
Right.
through the entire,
And it's
something
just looking
asinine that
towards the
doesn't occur.
future,
Oh, I mean, maybe, like, yeah, because we might be missing something.
No,
Yeah.
Noted.
that's
Yeah.
it.
And we'll work
You
with
know,
what we
Finish
have.
up.
Yes,
You've got
yeah.
that line and that's it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not looking to beat this thing to death either. I don't think it doesn't hurt to ask. And if the answer is no, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the grand scheme of things, this is comparatively, this is a housekeeping item.
Yeah.
It's not.
Such, could I make a suggestion, actually? Can we do this as a condition of approval? Check with the owner across the street. If he allows us to delineate it, it gets delineated, it gets survey mapped. And we submit you a map with a revised upland review limit on our site. If the owner does not give us permission, then you have what's on the plan.
I'm personally not opposed to that.
Me neither, David. Are you comfortable with that?
If you, it's at your discretion, it's at your discretion. If you feel that what the applicant's provided, if you want them to pursue having someone go out and physically demarcate where the water course is, or as an alternative, you try to find some mapping resource that may better approximate where the water course is, those are the three options. Unless there are others that the commission can think of that you could entertain.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, and I'm comfortable with making it a stipulation, because then it's documented that at least we tried to enforce precedent that we had standing
Yeah.
for all applications.
Exactly.
And since I've been here at least. So
So
that's,
do we have a
that's okay
motion?
with me.
Well, so what I will tell you is if you have no other items to discuss for this application, then you're at a position where you're coming to a consensus or a draft decision. I do have a draft resolution of approval prepared for the commission. If the commission is inclined or comes to a consensus to view this application favorably. So why don't you discuss that first? And then if you do want to discuss a draft resolution of approval, I would follow, or I would advise you to follow what you did with 56 Codfish Hill Road. Table that discussion till later in the meeting, so that way the other applications can be discussed.
Sounds good. So Nico, are you leaning towards approving or denying?
Yeah, toward approval for this one.
I would lean towards approval on this.
Agreed.
Agreed, based,
Alright.
also based on the fact that we can, upon review, we can add that into our stipulations on our draft resolution.
Okay,
All right, so I motion that we table this to the other part of the meeting.
Business
The
items.
business items, and we can discuss the approval with the stipulation of trying to find a survey.
Okay, thank you. Dave,
Yeah.
do you have a draft?
yes, I did.
Did you get Mike on the last one?
No, no,
not a problem.
You said precedent with Mike.
Draft
no,
a
no,
resolution
absolutely.
for every.
No, thanks for handling the questions.
You get it.
You get a draft. You get a draft.
Do you want one copy or two? Okay,
And we need a
Okay.
second on the motion.
Thank you.
everybody, there's a motion on the floor, we need a second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed because everybody said aye.
Okay,
There we
very
go.
good.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
good night, have a great weekend. We will move on to the next item, which is for Jennifer's Way.
Good evening, Dr. Vesta, professional engineer representative the applicant. Just bring that up. Did you get my email to me?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
okay. Should we go the whole thing all over again, or you want me to just go answer the questions?
Let's reseat Pat.
Oh.
That's fine.
Before, if you don't mind, Mr. DeVos.
Yeah, sure.
Before the applicant gives you an in-depth description of the application that is before you, it is worth noting that the comments that I provided for this application, the consulting engineers' comments for this application, Todd Ritchie from, again, SLR International Corporation, I think I got that right. And Mr. DeVessa's responses are in the Google Drive for tonight's meeting. So it's at Mr. DeVessa's discretion if he wants to go through those with you guys, but you do not need to rehash them in entirety for the record because they're part of it already. And the same goes for the revised site plans, the date on those being November 16th, if I'm correct.
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Last week.
very good.
Yeah. Well, I think last week we had our last meeting, had a good discussion. We all went to the site walk out there, so everybody had a chance to look at the site. So I think I just really want to go over the revisions on the plan, we pull those up, and then we can just quickly go through Todd's and the staff's comments. So what we added on the plan was the limit of disturbance which is the cloud line you're seeing across the plan. We added the footing drain outfall. That was really the only, and then we moved the concrete cleanup area as well on the comments. Other than that, those are really the only changes that were made to the plan. In the sidewalk, we did add the jute erosion control mats, areas where the slope is not 3-to-1, so it'll be down would be on the east side of the detention area and a little bit here on the west side of the proposed house there. So those are really the only changes that were made. I think you slide it up, Dave. I think we added the other way. Go up. I think we added another note at the bottom down here. So we added the maintenance schedules. We provided if invasive species are found on the site. Outdoor lighting, the house will be standard of practice and meet the building codes for safety. And then there'll be no disturbance of wetlands, of earth moving within the wetlands for the months of April and May within the 100 feet of the wetlands. So it's kind of stands we had another project I did recently with this commission. So those are really the changes that were made on the plan. And also we added the maintenance operations on the third page there, which is the and we revised the S&E control notes as well. So those were the only changes that were made on the plans that from last time.
I'm trying to find the third
Detailed
detail
sheet
sheet.
two.
Sorry.
So here's the operations and maintenance.
we added that. Who's assigned the owner of the to maintain the erosion controls, that would be the owner / contractor, things like that. So those are the changes that were made to the plans. In terms of going through Todd's questions, comments. We'll get at some point, we'll provide a signed and sealed Connecticut licensed surveyor existing conditions map. The wetland delineation, as Todd mentioned, they are 18 years old. We feel that the wetlands, it's a vacant lot. We felt that the wetlands are pretty much haven't really been disturbed or changed like that, mostly along the brook itself. So we did contact the soil scientist to see if they prepare something for us. I haven't heard back from him on it, so that's in the works. Talking about the reinforcement mats, the jute matches that we showed on the slopes are greater than 3 to 1 on the west side of the house and the east side of the detention basin. Putting drains were shown on the plan. Limits of clearing were shown with the clouded area. The cement contract truck cleanout area was added to the plan, moved. It was on the north side, moved to the south side, closer to the detention basin area. And we have we have contacted the Connecticut Deep Natural Diversity Database from the state, and we're waiting for a response back on that. So we'll see what happens. There is Todd has sent, there is a blob on the map that shows that there's something out there, but we haven't heard back from what it is just yet. So I think that'll be a condition. It's a condition of approval. Once we hear back from them, we'll let David know what it is and do what they recommend for it. In terms of the staff comments, footing drain discharge was shown on the plan. Lighting fixtures, we have a note on there that there will, standard practice for light safety and so forth. Trees greater than 6 inches, we'll remove trees that are necessary within the area of construction. There's some significant trees out there. Our client would like to try to save them as well, but majority of them, as you remember walking the site, are not really that, significant or that big in most of the area. So we're going to be selectively removing trees out there. Then again, the wetland scientists, we're trying to get a letter from them about the regulated area we've got on the site itself. Note specifying installation of the SD controls that was added to the plan for operations and maintenance of it. Then also the commission should consider whether or not vegetation buffers should be added to any area of the site, and that's something, the discussion that you need to make, not something we can provide. And then again, Todd's asking about the database, or you asked for the database as well, and which we're providing that. And then we also added on the site plan, the driveway to be paved or going to be asphalt. We're showing the first portion, which is currently out there now, where you guys walk down from that point up to Jennifer Way would be paved, and then from that point on to the house would be gravel. So give a little bit of a more natural look to it. So another one that's made for you guys to question is, well, put up the environmental sensitive area signs out there. Sequence of construction was added to the handouts that were provided. We've provided a limited disturbance, as we talked about, with the clouded area C adjacent to the silt fence. Yeah, that's approximate. It may not get, may not have aggressive, but I want to show it more of aggressive area. May not be disturbing all the way up in this area in here, may not be disturbing over here, but we're just showing it just in the event that we are going to go that far out. The application, be a lawn area where, we're provided lawn area be on the sloped areas in front of the house. Part of the detention area will be somewhat great, have a grass area in there. And any materials that are, removed, but like from trees that are taken down, vegetation will be chipped up, and that mulch will be used on site. What's not used on site will be trucked off site. And then invasive species, we'll look at if there's anything out there, they'll be removed and have some kind of schedule for you on that. But that's pretty much answers all David's comment. I don't know, have you had any any other additional comments or not, but I think you've addressed everything, you and Todd's comments.
The one thing that I would say to the commission is, as much as the applicant has done a lot of work to respond to mine and Mr. Rich's comments, there's still one item that I would advise you wait for before rendering a decision on this application. That is the response from the soil scientist. This comment isn't meant to, for lack of better words, upend the apple cart in terms of having the soil scientist go out there, reflag the property, have it then subsequently be resurveyed and have that be revised to be added to either the survey that goes for the subdivision or the plans that have been prepared for this property. What you should consider is having someone go out there to say, this is what the plans show, and I agree with what they show. That's the documentation that you're looking for. Everything else in terms of the locations for shields, the exact limit of disturbance, those are things that are worth your discussion. The same goes with the vegetative buffer. So if you want to take some time to do that, you can do that tonight. Otherwise, you have your next regular meeting scheduled for December 11th. I'm getting my calendars.
It's within the 65.
That is within the 65 days. So it's favorable for the applicant because they're not waiting a whole month. Hopefully you'll get somebody in time for that meeting, so that way you guys can render a decision that night if you think everything else has been sufficiently addressed. If you want to have a resolution, either approval or denial, prepared for that meeting, I'd be more than happy to do that. You may also want to consider your conditions of approval, the biggest one being the commission getting an FYI, for lack of better words, on that NDDB report from the DEP.
I saw that, I saw it on the Google Drive, I went through and saw that.
That's the request form.
Yep, I saw the request form for the data, I saw you already
We've
submitted that.
applied, so
Right.
not waiting for them to respond.
Right, it would be it would be unreasonable, just with my experience for how the DEEP's level of staffing works throughout the year. I can't expect that there are too many wildlife biologists trying to work in the dead of winter, but what do I know?
It could take months, it could take weeks, it could take months.
Sure.
That's what I was told.
So either way, they have to respond to Mr. DeVessa's request. And whenever that is, whenever he receives that, you can consider.
Well, we don't want that to hold the project up either.
No.
That's a condition, it's a condition,
Right.
whatever the recommendations are, we'll provide to Dave, and Dave will say yes or no to whatever. So
That's
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, because I mean, each month we go, it gets closer, further into the springtime, and we get things moving for my clients.
Right, no, understood.
And getting back to your comments about the wetlands, I mean, the commissioners who were out there, and you weren't out there, everybody else was out there. I mean, we flagged some of the wetlands that were flagged back when the subdivision was done in 2006. I mean, you can pretty much see it's the edge of the brook there. And then the wetlands, can you put our map back up there again?
Oh, sorry.
So the area over here is really what was, anything that may have been disturbed in this area where the driveway came down, but that was all disturbed as part of the approval for the subdivision. What you're seeing here is you've got the detention basins that are for the road itself. These are the outfalls that were already installed. So this area may have been a little changed, but anything from flag 63 all the way to 82, that has not been disturbed and stuff like that. So we certainly could try getting a soil scientist out there to provide a letter for you, but again, it's my opinion that area has not been changed except for the end of the road, which was approved back in 2005, 2006. approval, so that's my argument for that.
This is the same discussion in a different shape
Yeah,
with respect to the previous application. It's all about. Again, it's not necessarily, well, part of it is that. The other part of it is your last reference for information is on the closer side to 20 years old, not quite, but it's not as recent as one would prefer it to be for someone to say, this is where the wetlands are, what's shown here on the plans accurately represents them. Again, it's not about going to the nth degree and trying to do an impact assessment or coming up with a study for soil types or something to that effect. It's someone going out there, taking a look at the site, seeing where the flags are on the plan and saying, I believe this to be in agreement with what's shown. So if you feel that is something that the applicant needs to address, then again, that's at your discretion. It's just a comment that is being provided to you with consideration, again, for precedent and applications that this commission has previously reviewed.
I'm in agreement with updated information anyways, and we did just have the discussion.
Right.
15 minutes ago with another applicant, but at the same time. One, it doesn't hurt to ask, and since we're on a tighter timeline, we can make it a stipulation of approval as well.
What do you mean, Your Honor?
Oh, we have plenty of time on this one, we have to,
So
So,
to the next meeting.
to the next meeting, got it.
so the staff report and my agenda
Yeah,
are your go-tos for how much time you have for each application. For Jennifer's Way, you are reviewing this tonight. The 65-day review period, considering that you guys accepted this by your site plan review process, that expires on December 27th. So you have ample time. Extensions notwithstanding, you have ample time to render a decision.
After looking at everything, I mean, I wasn't on the sidewalk like you guys,
no,
but
I wasn't on
I would,
Do you want, I have the photographs for the record.
no, I'm fine.
You
I'm
sure?
looking at everything. I'm
Okay.
familiar with the area.
So how old was the
Yeah, very
last
familiar with the
review?
area.
20 years?
I'm sorry?
How old was the last?
About 18 years.
18.
So
Six.
the reports, the soil scientist report. That was submitted as part of this application. If you go to, which appendix is it in your?
I think it's B or I think it's C.
Yes, it is appendix C. I'll bring that up on the screen.
We did try contacting the original soil scientist, that's ESM Associates, Gene McNamara. He's no longer in business. We also tried to contact one of the associates there and can't find him either. So if we find him, it might get something from him, but we have to go find another soil scientist that will take and review the information and make a letter, write a letter or something like that. So it may take a little more time.
And it's worth noting that this soils scientist report that was submitted back in 2005 was for the subdivision of a much larger lot from which this originates. It wasn't necessarily just for this specific lot.
I didn't know a lot on the property at the cul-de-sac. There's one more piece of wetlands in the back on one of the other vacant lot off the back of the cul-de-sac, and this lot here, I think like 2 lots that have wetlands on it.
So this is all part of the record, so I don't
That
think
was
it's appropriate to
submitted
go.
last. Oh, with the original.
Yeah, this was submitted as part of the original application.
I mean, I would lean towards, at your next meeting, having a draft resolution of approval.
Okay.
Okay, but your next meeting.
Your
I
next
noted
meeting, with the conditions of the DEP, get them getting back to you and hopefully finding a soil scientist just to confirm what's already there. on
Well,
paper.
The NDDB report and the soil sciences are two separate
Two
things.
separate items.
Right.
Okay,
But two different, yes,
okay.
Two separate stipulations.
two separate
Now,
stipulations.
it is worth noting, and this is more of a logistics thing than anything else. Two of the members that are part of this commission tonight will not be with us for our next meeting. So this decision it's really contingent on Mr. Seaman, Ms. Monroe, and Mr. Jordan. So
So how are you guys leaning?
I
Because you'll be
agree.
here.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
I agree as
Yeah.
well. Do we wanna have any discussion on?
I have some other points that I'd like to discuss, but I think we want to finish this one first.
Yeah.
We're already talking about a draft resolution of approval for this application. We haven't even discussed it, right? Or,
We're gonna
Discussed it
discuss it.
last meeting and this meeting we have, but they have other discussion.
yeah, at the
Also-
last meeting, you accepted this application, and
Yeah.
then there was a sidewalk that was conducted. This is the first meeting where you're really diving into the meat of the application.
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't had any actual discussion of the application yet, I believe. Or do you want to
Sure.
open the floor or?
Should we open the floor now, or is that something that we should table till?
So we wanna have the discussion,
We're-
we need to close the conversation about whether or not we want that.
No, this
Okay.
is
Okay.
a site plan review. It's not a
Okay,
public
so
hearing.
Nico, what concerns or
We're in site plan review, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I know people want to probably move things along, but we have a couple of comments that Dave made that were addressed by Mr. DeVesta, the project engineer. One of them was the lighting. What does standard of practice lighting consist of?
Will be down lighting. It'll be any kind of lighting outside of a back door on a patio or something. You'll try to keep it down lighting, no major floodlights, maybe on the garage, maybe a floodlight to access the area, but other than that, that's it. And whatever the code, what the building codes say about safety.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to state for the record that this is a very sensitive environmental area that they're talking about building in. It's, bordered on three sides by wetlands. Two of them are open water courses. It's basically framed by the Wolf Pits Brook. We went on a site walk there for whoever was there. Matured forest, native vegetation. So the lighting, I think we would be concerned and need to make sure that it's kept to a minimum, like you said, Mr. DeVesta, down lights pretty much throughout the site, like no flooding. I don't know if we should ask for that or as an amendment to the application. David?
Well, let's clarify. So are you trying to say that there should be no floodlights on this property at all?
Lighting is an issue, yeah, in this place. We're basically surrounded with an upland review area on all sides. We've never seen an application really like this before, and since I've been on the board. Only a tiny fraction of it is not within our 100-foot upland review areas of wetlands. So just with that said, it's in a very environmentally sensitive area. Basically, it's an island within that.
Right.
Or a peninsula, if you will, but it's surrounded to the north and the south by open space, woodlands, land trust properties, misidentified as residential, I believe, in one of the comments. One of the
Right.
reports I read.
The ownership of the abutting properties notwithstanding. This commission is not foreign to parcels that have large tracts of otherwise open wetlands or swamp or whatever regulated resource you want to classify this one per the wetlands report that was submitted. So the idea for this comment isn't so much to come from a preventative standpoint as much as it is to say, if you are going to have lighting. Where it is appropriate and applicable, you see if you can incorporate shielding. So that
Mhm.
way is an ambient lighting that is just being directed towards the wetlands. Or if you are having floodlights or fixtures where trying to light up a large area is part of the fixture's function, then you have that be oriented in such a way where it's not being directed towards the wetlands themselves. I don't know how
That would be important.
that would be for the house itself. But for any other lights that are on the property, that's part of why that comment is raised and why it has been raised before.
Mhm.
So that's where that's coming from.
Yep. No, I thought it was a really important comment, and I think we need to make sure that the lighting for the project is controlled and down, and not spreading into the wetlands surrounding the entire property.
Is that a stipulation request?
Yeah,
Yeah, I will tell you if the NDDB report that whenever that comes out says that there are species there are obligate species in the wetlands where if they are impacted by light, it's gonna or if light goes towards the wetlands, it will adversely affect them, then obviously you're not going to want that. Without having the benefit of that report or anything else to that effect that reflects that, it's an unknown at this point.
Mhm.
The
So-
applicant has stated that they will
Yeah.
abide by.
Right,
whatever the
right, of
stipulations
course.
are, and they legally have
Of
to,
course,
so, right.
of course.
So looking forward to hearing about the NDDB situation. Can I move on to something else, or did anybody want to chime in on that? Lighting?
Oh, go ahead,
What do you
Nico.
have next?
Okay, another thing that seeing the paved driveway, I wanted to know, and then leading to the gravel driveway, is what's the drainage situation with the driveway, Mr. DeVesta? I know it's an older driveway and probably needs to be redone, or what's the plan? Because I'm thinking of pollutants and what's best for the wetlands that it crosses, which is that gravel or pavement? And I'm concerned about, like, I guess the pavement, especially during the construction process, is probably the worst time, correct?
Well, the driveway is not gonna be paved until after the project is done. So whatever's out there right now is probably a gravel base. And probably a gravel base right now. Right now it's all overgrown from 18 years of being neglected. So it will be just gravel down there, any tracking pad at the entrance and silk fence along the both sides of the driveway as shown on the plan. And then and then after construction, water's gonna run down the driveway and then gonna drain into the detention basin itself, and everything is being sheet flowed from the house into the roof leads are all being drained into the detention basin itself. So we feel that
Oh, sorry to interrupt. So the driveway is pitched toward and geared toward the draining to the detention basin?
right, correct. The driveway at the the gravel portion is being drained in there, and then as you walk the site from Jumper's Way, it's going downhill, going down towards the I guess we call it towards the detention basin itself. Some of it may sheet off and go into a northern direction there, which is into an existing detention basin that's out there right now, and it'll be handled in that area.
Wait, which detention basin are you talking about now?
There's detention basins on both sides on the north side of the driveway. You will see where flag number 14, 13, 11. And above that to the north, to the east of that, that's all detention basin there. Those are existing detention basins.
Oh, I didn't see that on the sidewalk, right? Or
Because they're all overgrown, that's why.
oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
there's a catch basin down here. There's a catch basin right there, Dave.
Yeah.
There's an existing catch basin. That's the control outlet right there.
Right where my cursor is.
Mhm.
Okay. The only thing that I saw was the pipe leading under the driveway connecting like the water court, like the wetlands.
There was several pipes out there. Again, it was all overgrown.
One that was visible was a culvert that ran underneath the.
This one here was probably,
existing-
this one probably, that one and this one here is there as well. If you,
The one on the
right
left,
right now
yeah.
with the leaves down, you can probably see that catch basin much easier, but there is a detention basin in there. There and also on the south side of the proposed driveway, of the actually existing driveway.
Nico, did you get your question answered? Because I have some related.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead. This is our discussion time. I wanted this, so the driveway and the pavement, whether that should be gravel or paved and what the runoff from that driveway, where that's going, that was my question and concern.
Well, I mean, the driveway, we want to, but we could move make a gravel further up if you like, but I mean, it was intersecting with Jennifer's Way, it's a slight hill there, you want to make sure that's paved, so it's, easier to maintain, stuff like that, but things like that.
It might be better to have it more gravel over the wetland. I don't know, from an environmental standpoint, Dave or Mr. Doug, like, to have that be gravel and infiltrate, it just seems more natural to me than the pavement over the wetland area there.
The idea with gravel versus pavement, it's not so much try to figure out which one is better per se, because they each have their pros and cons, right? The idea is, if you're going with one in one area, it is its design set up, or is it designed so that way it will not have any adverse impacts to the regulated wetlands resource that's either on or off the property? The question that you're asking, I think, Mr. Jordan, it isn't so much for where rain is going, so much as where anything that's in that rain or in that water that would be that would flow off that driveway is going.
Yeah, and then the asphalt, materials themselves, like the petroleum chemicals that are in the asphalt as well, I'm concerned about.
I mean, that's roads. I mean, any road out there is all made from petroleum. So every road we're driving on right now has petroleum in it. So there's not much we can do about that.
Yeah, well, no, but it's sketchy. I mean, it's from an environmental standpoint, it's not great. The gravel, the dirt roads, there's nothing kind of polluting in them. They're just.
Well, there is, because you got sediment. And look at town roads that are dirt. You talk any town that has dirt roads, it costs at least 2 to 3 times as much to maintain a dirt road than it does a paved road. And also you get runoff from the gravel roads, you're gonna get a lot of sediment in the wetlands. So you got a trade-off there.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
So what do you think from your experiences? I mean, there's places for both, right? I mean,
Right. That's why we're showing part of the driveway paved and part of the driveway be the gravel. Especially on the hillside. Again, if you put a gravel driveway and a road on a hill to maintain that. The town I live in, I mean, I've been passed by the town first selectmen, look at roads on hills and they're getting eroded out. They want to pave them, but people don't want them paved. So the cost is so much more than it is to maintain a paved road. But again, you get a little more runoff, not as much, you get a little more runoff, but still get some of the gravel versus paved.
Can I ask questions about that gravel drive?
Sure.
So, I would first want to know, I assume it's permeable as opposed to the asphalt. So you said there's going to be drainage under it. Can you walk me through a little bit about what that looks like?
Drainage where?
Dave, would you?
Oh, sorry.
Thank
Yes.
you. Maybe I misheard you, that's entirely possible, but I thought that you had said that the runoff from the gravel portion of the driveway was running into the detention basins. And so how are you channeling that flow? Wouldn't it just permeate down?
There's still gonna be some runoff
Okay.
from gravel driveways.
From the gravel.
So it's not totally impervious.
Thank you.
There's some impervious to it. The coefficients aren't as high as pavement, so there's still gonna get some runoff on it.
But different from grass or
Right,
soil.
correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay, and then my next question related to that would be, are we using herbicides to maintain that,
Maintain,
the gravel driveway?
Oh, that's a good question.
hard to say.
I see what you're getting at.
I'm-
Common sense says yes,
Well, I mean,
right?
but
It's a long driveway.
yeah, I mean, you're gonna have probably some grass maybe grown in there. I can't say what's gonna happen in the future.
I can. There's gonna be a lot of grass growing in that gravel driveway, unless there's gonna be something going on underneath it in order to.
Still doesn't matter,
Prevent
still
growth.
gonna get
That doesn't
grass.
last for long.
I know.
Grass going up there.
Any issue. So I wanted to bring that to the commission's attention anyway, as a thought that I had. And then, which, I don't know if we want to have a discussion on it further, but
I don't know if we can make. I like where your head's at. I totally understand. What's gonna happen is the grass is gonna grow through the gravel, they're gonna use herbicide on it, and then the runoff from that is going to wind up in your detention.
it's gonna end up
basin.
somewhere, right?
It's gonna end up somewhere at the end of the day.
Right.
I don't think that we can make a stipulation that requires them to not use herbicide or do anything like that, because we're not, we can't,
Okay.
we can't manage that.
We
We can't manage that.
So that is a good question. I don't mean to jump in.
Yeah, very good.
So this raises the question of when water and whatever the water it carries enters the detention basin. Is it given an opportunity to percolate into the soil, or is it just meant to stand there and eventually evaporate? If there are any overflow mechanisms for those detention basins, where are those directed to? The whole idea with Ms. Monroe's concerns is, someone can have a portion of their driveway be gravel. And if there is grass that grows through that, they may want to treat it. Where are those treatments going, and will they adversely impact the wetland in some way? That's the A to B that you have to get to.
Yes.
So it's worth figuring out those middle parts first. Before we try to.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we're gonna monitor what the homeowner is doing on the property, but rather we address that stuff.
Right, so it's a question that you should ask the applicant, what's happening to that water in the detention basin?
Which is what I was trying to get at with how is this water draining from the gravel driveway into those?
Well, it's sheet
detention
flowing into the detention basin. The detention basin below it's an open basin, but below that, you're gonna have your Caltech units, that's gonna handle the first inch of runoff, water quality, that's infiltrating the ground. Anything greater than that will pond above it. And then be metered out to a level spreader behind the barn. So that's controlling up to 100-year storm.
And behind the barn is like directly adjacent.
But we
to
got some, that's why we're doing a level spreader, so now it's sheet flowing, it's not concentrated flow. And it's going across more land, going across more surface, more ground for more infiltration and more treatment. But again, there's no outlet in the Caltech units, but it's gonna be infiltrated into the ground. Anything greater than that 1 inch goes up through the detention basin, then gets metered out. So your first inch of runoff, which is most of your dirtiest water, will be infiltrated into the ground.
Which it's still concentrating in the ground there.
I mean, we're not talking, we're talking herbicide, we're not talking, gallons and gallons of it. We're probably talking, a spray here and there to keep any weeds down if that's the case.
I don't know about that. I mean, I respect what you're saying, but that's a long, expansive gravel driveway, which will require a lot of weed maintenance.
Maybe I don't know what the client wants. I mean, he may like it, have a little grass in there, I don't know. I mean, you don't know.
I don't.
Well, it looks like a lot of lawn too. And we're talking about, not only herbicides, but selective herbicides for lawns and fertilizers as well.
In this case, Dave, with these questions, which I agree with, in your history, is there anything that could be part of the detention system or the runoff system that can aid in alleviating the downstream effects of some of the stuff that might get collected?
Well, I'm certainly not anywhere near an expert in how detention basins work or their components for that matter, as Mr. DeVesta. One thing that has been skirted around, at least from what I'm hearing in your discussions, is treatment. What as part of that detention system exists or could be added to facilitate that treatment function to address anything that enters it that could otherwise adversely impact the wetlands. There are many ways that this commission has dealt with that from previous applications. It's all about choosing which one is most appropriate for this site.
And not being an expert on that at all, I wouldn't know where to begin making recommendations for which would be an appropriate management system. But to me, what I'm seeing here, if I am understanding it correctly, is that the chemicals are going to concentrate in that pool, and then they are going to be concentrated into the soil below, other than in massive storms where some of it is going to dissipate out. However, over time, if it is concentrating there in the soil, if there's water there too, it's just going to become a concentrated mass of those chemicals, unless I'm not understanding it correctly.
I'm not an expert on pesticides and stuff like that, and I mean, the detention basins are, it's an open basin, so you're gonna get some treatment through whatever, plants are in the basin itself, so that's gonna take the uptake of any kind of nutrients as well.
Well, that would hold true for fertilizers, which I think Nico was
Right.
talking about
Right.
in terms of fertilizing the lawn and any other plantings there. But herbicides being a different kind of a chemical, I don't know if those are gonna be uptaken, I don't know if that's a word, by those plants in that barrier.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, so I think I wanted, I know we're not making a decision on this tonight, but I think I want to do a little more research and figure out, educate myself on how those kinds of things get broken down and whether or not there's anything that can be done about that.
Or if they are broken down via groundwater clearing, because essentially they're gonna be soaked into the
Right.
soil there, and I'm not sure how they break
So-
down over.
Can I chime in? I
Please.
just- We have, this kind of segues into two other questions that I had. Which one is like the vegetative buffer area that we were talking about and the limit of disturbance. Which maybe we can talk about first. And then the other was gonna be the depth, so I don't forget, is like the depth of the soils around on the site to hard pan and or water. I wanted to go over those again. As well, because the parts of the site, especially where the septic is, seem to me really, really shallow compared to the surrounding surface water, the nearby wetland to the northeast of the site. Do you know the offhand, Mr. DeVesta, the kind of the distance to groundwater that you guys are dealing with, or how?
There was
We-
no soil testing, there was no groundwater encountered, but there was modeling encountered.
Modeling, yeah.
Modeling is an indication of possible seasonal high groundwater. This was done the test holes were done in, go to number 3 that day, number
Oh.
3. I thought it was number 2, number 3. The test holes indicate that they were done in April and, of 04, I think it was, but most of the other test holes indicate there's no groundwater. Modeling was between around 24 inches and a little deeper in some spots. But that indicates that modeling is a seasonal high groundwater indicator, but it doesn't mean it happens every year. It could be historical. And so there's potential, there could be groundwater and there could not be out there. So that's just, and then the hard pan layer is around, hard pan layer was probably around the same level as your modeling was on most of these holes in here. So Again, there was no groundwater was encountered during that springtime when these things were tested. Flat was tested.
And where, okay, and where did the modeling, to what depth did the modeling begin?
Around 24 in some spots. It depends what hole you're looking at.
So can you walk me through it for, I think it was deep test hole like 29, 30, 28 is around near where the septic is,
Okay.
right?
Back to number 1, Dave. What, the
Um,
septic system you're talking about?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm concerned about the whole site, but mostly that eastern portion. Yeah.
29, 30,
Here's 30 right
28,
here.
28, 29, and 30. So go back,
Okay.
number 3.
So
So you have 27, 24, and 26.
27. I just want to make sure I'm reading this right with you, so I know. So the modeling. Are you reading for number 30? Oh, 26. Okay,
28, 29, and 30.
so modeling was witnessed at 26 inches starting, right?
24 inches on 29.
Okay. So that means that that's like 2 feet, just over 2 feet to 5 feet or what? No. Yeah. Between
Again,
2 and 3 feet.
they
And
have
then-
these plans that have been through the health department have been approved by the health department. The septic system meets the minimum state health code of being 18 inches above modeling. So you've got 20.
18. Okay. I want to just go understand all this with you.
Give another question?
Yeah, just so what is for the septic system, it has to be, what did you say, 18 inches? Or can you
It's
fill me in
above
about that?
groundwater modeling and hard pan. So 24 inches, so you're 6 inches into grade, potentially 6 inches into grade, and you fill above that to get to the bottom of the septic system. So the system is just sitting just probably into grade.
Just in the grade. It only needs 18 inches, the septic system, did you say?
No, it's 18 inches above groundwater modeling and hard pan.
Okay. And then how much distance does a septic system need? How much soil to function?
18 inches.
You said it.
State wants you to be 18 inches above groundwater modeling and hard pan,
Oh,
the bottom of the
oh,
septic system. And
okay.
it depends what kind of product you've got. You could be anywhere from 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, whatever, up, and then plus a cover on top of that.
Okay. I'm not familiar enough with septics.
If you go to page
well,
2,
that's what
Dave,
I'm asking.
my cross section, that might help, that might clarify it.
Thank you for, because that's one of my main concerns, and I feel like if I could understand it better, maybe it wouldn't be, so.
So what you're seeing here is the dashed line is the existing grade going through section AA. Then the line below it here says restricted layer, that's the modeling layer. So that was 24 inches. I did this 18 inches. So yeah, 24 inches down, the bottom of the septic system is 18 inches above modeling. And then the dotted area is your topsoil. You got to take the topsoil off per state health code, and then you bring in fill above that. So you see a select fill area. We're using an 18-inch high product, and then you bring in a fill. You bring in probably about 2 feet of fill by the time you're done with some cover over the system itself. So again, this has been reviewed and approved by the state health, by the local health department.
Okay. So are you considering the modeling layer as a restrictive layer?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to comment on that now that we're talking about it? Commissioners?
No comments, but that was helpful for me for future stuff too. It helped me understand a little bit more about how the necessity for your variance.
Yeah, it's super important because otherwise the groundwater could just take the septic with it to the wetland.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, that's why it's
By the health
why they have a health code.
Yeah, of course. But it's good to understand. Help me understand.
But I need to understand the health code, like it should approve it for the wetland, but anyway. Segue in, or I guess the last thing was kind of the vegetative buffer layer, buffer zone between the brook or our regulated wetlands and the limit of disturbance and the lawn areas, I guess, which were deemed to be the same, I guess. I heard.
Yeah, I had questions on that too, and I was just curious what the proposal was for, or if there was one, like, what are we looking to do for vegetative buffer, if it's a necessity. I didn't see too much information there. But
We really didn't show a buffer on it, and that was something that Dave had you big discussion on.
No, this is the moment for the discussion. Do we want to talk about a vegetable?
No, I wasn't there during the site plan. I thought that you guys did it at the site.
For the sidewalk.
Can't do it on the sidewalk.
Yeah, right, the sidewalk is just for locational observation.
Perfect.
But I did take photographs during that sidewalk, if that visual reference would help you.
Probably.
Okay,
Because I didn't know if it was necessitated or not,
okay.
and I wasn't there, so I missed the important site.
It's worth noting that some of these photographs were taken by myself and some of them were taken by Mr. Jordan. Both our photographs were taken during that sidewalk, so. This may change perspective on who's got the camera depending on which shot we go to. Just to make sure that that's understood. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this is us walking towards, is it fair to say the southern extent of the property?
Facing south, correct.
This is Aunt Patty's Lane West up here in the background where my cursor is running. This is going I believe to the north, if I'm getting my orientation correctly. There's the stone wall, which notates one of the northern sections of the property line. If I'm recalling correctly, one of these stakes that's here in the foreground is meant to represent one of the corners for the house. It's a blue and white ribbon. Right there on the side of the screen. Okay, this is another view going south. This is Aunt Patty's Lane West. This is number 4 right here for the commission's reference. This is a photograph I think that you took, Nico.
Yeah, I think it's one of the
The culvert from by the drive.
under the driveway.
And that's where
Okay.
we
That's
entered.
looking north to south. That's, I think I was trying to follow the flow of the water from that wetland to the northeast.
Okay,
It's
and
the
this is
east.
inside one of those culverts, I imagine.
Yeah, it's made of like a high density plastic, I think.
Okay, this is another shot of the property going towards the north.
Is the existing driveway over that culvert, and I think you indicated that there are other drainage funnels, tubes, what is the right word? Pipes?
There's another culvert there too, there's two.
Thank you. Is the width of that driveway currently sufficient for the construction vehicles that are going to need to traverse that area?
Think so.
Yeah, it's
What if
pretty wide.
it's not? Is there a plan in place for that?
We won't know until we get out there and remove some of the scrub growth out there.
Yeah, I can appreciate that it's hard to know for sure, but that's within the wetland area, so it would certainly be disruptive and something I'd want to know about. So I don't know how we address that.
So that's pretty flat there, right?
I assume it was done, the right, when that was subdivision was done, and that was done, I assume it's done to the, 12 or 14 foot wide, yes.
Okay. And that's I don't have any idea how much space,
12 foot is your typical driveway.
but is a typical driveway enough to accommodate the size of the vehicles that are gonna, okay, thank you.
Okay, this is that photograph we saw before. This is a better view of that water course that runs to the south of the property and then runs to its west, flowing northward. I'm getting my directions correct.
Can you leave it here for a second, Dave?
I'm sorry,
Or come back to this picture or leave it here for a second? Because
I can leave it here.
So, Mr. DeVesta, the limit, can you looking at the site plan, the limit of disturbance area marked on the map? I wanted to ask, like, where does that come to? It looks like it comes just about right up to the brook itself. Is that correct?
It's we're using it at the edge of the wetlands. The flags and the silt fence is limited disturbance.
So the X's and the long dashed lines on this map, what do those represent?
Silt fence.
That's silt fence. Okay, thank you. And then there's a down gradient. I see a gradient change, like a steep grade change-ish, steepish, down to the wetland flags, which are the brook, I guess, on the south side of the property that we're looking at. My question is, will all the trees, the existing vegetation be removed along the brook here that we're looking at?
like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna, take the trees that we need to be taken down within the building envelope around the house and things like that, and there's a few mature trees that are in the area that they want to, they'll maintain those trees.
That's good. So my concern is potential erosion to the bank of the stream if all the trees are removed and the roots supporting the current shape of the stream and location of where it is now. I'm trying to see if any vegetation and existing roots are going to remain to hold the bank.
Well, we're not gonna clear it right up to the bank, up to the brook itself, no.
You're not?
No.
Oh, that was my question, because it looked pretty close on the map and I couldn't tell. It was started to get a little tight and I didn't know if I was reading the map right.
As I mentioned earlier, that I show the limits of disturbance out to the silt fence, but it may not go out that far. Just want to be on the conservative side, say, if we had to go out that far for whatever reason, we go out that far and get the permission from this commission to allow us to do that. But it's gonna be, they may tighten it up quite considerably.
Oh, okay. So my question was like, I guess exactly like how many feet of like existing trees and vegetation will remain between the brook and the limit of disturbance?
I don't know. I have to look at the plans.
Huh?
Can you repeat that question, Mr. Jordan?
How many feet of undisturbed vegetation, native, trees that are there now will remain protecting the bank and the stream and the wetlands from between the wetland and the limit of disturbance, or the brook and the limit of disturbance?
Not to answer for Mr. Devesa, but I think the simple answer for that would be it varies.
Right.
There is no uniform distance that the limit of disturbance will be from either the wetlands or the water course on the property.
Can you move scroll down to the south end of the map, please?
Okay.
Thanks. So I'm talking about like this southern kind of, peninsula tip of and the right side along where the brook is.
Yeah. So if I am getting this correct, you're concerned about the distance between the limit of disturbance that's being shown by the silt fence closest to flags 71, 72, and 73.
Yeah, say call it 70 to 73 there.
Okay.
Where the brook is. I can see it better here. And then how much, so is that just the flood, like the bank of the stream, that grade change up from the flags? Is that, or
Right, the silt fences that will be placed at the top of the bank, in the embankment. Not down along the brook itself.
okay.
Flag number 70 is that's where the brook comes into the property.
Looks like it, yeah.
Right, and then, we went out around it, again, get machinery back there to put that level spreader in there. Again, it could be tightened up a little bit in that area. And then where 75 and 74 are, that's quite a ways away from the, any of the disturbed areas. Or from the, from the limits of disturbance there.
Yeah.
But David, right, it's it varies, the limits of disturbance will vary from point A to point B.
Right. So no, my only concern was just that the vegetation would remain and the roots to keep holding the bank so it wouldn't erode out.
Right,
Because it looks like a erosive point in the river.
Right, if there's trees within the embankment, from the top of the embankment down to the brook, those aren't going to be removed, no.
Okay. I wasn't sure if they wanted, and we're envisioning just like straight lawn, straight all the way up to the river.
No, it's not.
Okay. That helps, I think, because
Again, you have a fairly steep embankment between the top of the embankment down to the brook. We're not going to be putting lawn down to there, no.
On the west side you're talking about?
I'm talking anywhere from flag was 68 all the way down, all the way around to the top, to the north side there to 83, I think it is.
Okay.
Up there, so we're not going to be
Right.
obviously down that.
Yeah,
area.
I asked just because the vegetative buffer is what's so important, as we know it, to keeping the pollutants and excess nutrients kind of contained and out of the water supply, and preventing erosion in a case like this with an open water course. And my dog is crying at me. But, thanks. Does anybody else want to comment on this? Was this what the vegetative buffer that we were talking about, David? Was this what we were supposed to be discussing, or what was that all about?
It was an open question. The discussion was meant to be any way you chose to take it. So.
Are we
if-
doing good?
If you thought this was a concern, then, you know, share it with everybody, make it known. If it's not, then my comment is my comment.
So am I doing good? I'm saying yes, it is a concern, and yes, we're talking about it.
Okay.
Well, I agree that it is a concern, but they're gonna maintain pre-existing trees or fauna, flora that's out there. I wouldn't be as concerned about having to put anything additional in. I would like to retain what's naturally there to begin with, which is what it sounds like. I mean, it's the smartest, best way to do it.
Agreed, yeah.
Something that wasn't there to begin with, so
I don't see any.
if that's the intention, that's a better intention in my perspective.
So the only thing I would add to that maybe would be to address Nico's concerns, which I'm not sure if he voiced yet or not, but he will. The
I hope so.
lighting in the back of the house, whether or not you would want to put some sort of a vegetative buffer there in order to minimize the impact on the wetlands.
So I have a question. In other applications, we've had a lumen chart, correct? Will there be one for this, or is there a need for one?
Well, you can't really have a lumen chart without knowing where the lighting is going.
Right.
So if you're asking for a lumen chart, you're asking for a lighting plan.
Right.
And the comment that was given as a response to what I
Yeah.
had in my report, I believe Mr. DeVesta already shared that.
I mean, to ask somebody to do a photometric lighting plan for a single family house.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a
got it.
question.
It's a little over the top.
Because I know we've had it prior and
I
I
mean, we
wasn't
did
sure if
that,
it
we
made
did that for another
sense.
job recently, that I did over on Benedict, that you guys reviewed, we did a preliminary, but that was 22 houses, this is one single family house.
Okay.
So I don't think it's warranted to do it.
Understand.
I think that what Nico's trying to just get is, we just don't want it'd be great if we can find a way within a stipulation or this conversation just to avoid flood lighting flying into the wetlands. Like, I know that above the garage or sometimes out of back porches, you got high lumen flood lighting, like the light of your backyard, especially the kids that play in the backyard at night.
There's something that you probably don't have a visual for since you weren't able to attend, but the
Yeah.
drop off is very steep off that back going down. It's a little hard to see in the photographs, but you can't really get but I don't feel like it's likely that they're gonna have much of a backyard that you're envisioning because you
Okay.
can't really accommodate that.
They must
there.
have-
Okay,
Like, we'll say
yeah, because
front yard.
I've seen everything on chart and I wasn't there.
It's hard
Uh,
to
walk
being here, yeah.
But that's the answer to my question. That kind of answers my question.
I hear you, Mr. Vesta, that this is a small, single family home. And maybe it's outside of the realm of, what's normally done, I guess. But it's also, I agree that the lighting is a very critical issue here. Because it's in such a environmentally sensitive space. It's basically in a nature preserve, surrounded on all sides, literally. On
Would
two
a
sides.
vegetative buffer address your concerns?
No, I mean, the native stuff is good. Leave what's there. That's great. But the photometric plan, I think, would be nice to see, just so that we know what's going on with the site. To see where the lights are going to be, what kind of, where they're going to be showing. Are they going to shine all the way down the hill to the river? Are they going to shine out the back up the hill to the nature preserve there? Are they going to shine? I don't know. It's just a really, insular wooded forested spot. That's going to be really sensitive to this development. So
I agree with the fact that it's gonna be very sensitive, but on a single family residence, even the higher output lighting that you're gonna put in that, and not, you're coming from somebody who spends a ton of time in the woods. I'm a huge advocate of not having any kind of natural interaction or human interaction into the woods, especially with lighting, like for what I do. It's not, even the denser stuff won't penetrate that far through natural vegetation. And if it's on a hillside, I don't think that.
It is on a hillside. The Walkings, it's a beautiful parcel and it was, maybe you could see it in the pictures that Dave had. There's not a lot of underbrush at all. It's not
Yeah.
like filled with scrub.
It's not
very
invaded.
walkable and very clear. So if there is lighting there, it is going to travel to some extent because there's not a lot blocking it. It's lovely. It's not completely overgrown with
Got it.
all of the invasives that you see everywhere else. I don't really know how you manage that, but it's very nice. I guess naturally, it's just
I mean, just look at this, the contour lines, look at the contour lines, the tighter,
real steep.
the tighter they are, the steeper it is. And this is your upland review area right in here. So at this point here, this patio here, you're almost 100 feet away from the wetlands itself. Here, you're probably what, 80 some odd feet away. This one's probably maybe 70 plus feet away. So you're quite a distance away from it. And plus elevation wise, you know, you're talking, let's see, this is 66. You're probably talking 20 some odd feet higher, if not more.
It's pretty significant.
So you're really elevated, so even if you had downlighting, chances are it's gonna be visible from a distance away from the property and the house.
But I think your concern, Nico, is it gonna draw wildlife towards the house? Am I correct? Or that it's gonna impact movement patterns or?
I mean, yeah, sure, if you wanna talk about from an insect species and you know, nocturnal animal, mammal, and point of view, yes, but you can talk about it from a human point of view too, and you know, just having floodlights on the back of these patios in the middle of the woods there is going to be an eyesore.
The focus is.
That's not our problem.
The
So
focus-
we don't have to talk about that then, but then we will talk about the birds, whatever you want, like. Yeah.
If you ask for a photometric of this plan, you're setting your precedence now. So it means every single family house that comes in here with wetlands on, you have to have a photometric plan done.
I mean, so be it, but also this is a very sensitive site that's surrounded, I mean, it's completely encircled. Our upland review area is almost the entire property. There's you know, it's not even.
But is it?
It'd be a nice thing to have for the site.
Right, I
It would be nice,
I
yes,
understand
but
that.
it's not worth it.
I understand that, Mr. Jordan. It's difficult to request the applicant to produce a photometric plan when
Why?
they don't even know where the lights are going to be. They say so on, well, they don't, it's not explicitly written as such.
Isn't it part of our application items?
Hang on.
Building lights are part of the code.
Right, but,
Put them in for the code.
but the response that was given in Mr. DeVessa's report, and I quote, "A note has been added to the site plan saying that outdoor lighting will be the standard of practice and meet the building code for safety." So they're not talking about the lighting that's on the house isn't shown on the plans. So it's hard to say where lights would be and where light would go towards if that's not anywhere on what you've been given thus far.
But we're asking for that. Isn't that one of our application documents to receive?
For outdoor lighting?
Yeah.
It's
For the
not a
metropolitan.
standard requirement, no.
Is that, and it's the.
Nico, I only brought it up because in some of the unit dwellings that we've had it in the past. We've never had one for a single family.
Yeah. Or commercial, it makes sense.
And for commercial, we've had it.
And
but-
in
but
this
we haven't had
instance.
it for- And I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, it's
You-
good. It's a good
You
thing.
thought it
I
would
don't mean to make you sorry that you brought it up. It
no.
should be brought up. It was a good thing that you brought it up.
You have a good point that lighting does affect the woodlands. However, this is a single family residence as well, and you don't know what these homeowners are gonna do 10 years down the road. So I put lighting on my house that I didn't have on it when I bought the house.
Mhm.
So,
They didn't put up like stadium lights. that
no,
you're gonna
exactly.
have over
That's what I'm
overflow
saying.
in the parking
I
lot.
would.
Fair.
I put
Well, maybe they're gonna put in like
Yeah,
blue
it's- but
lights,
that's-
like maybe they'll put in like the LED, you know, bright white daylight lights, you know, on
But you have
floods.
no way of regulating that or enforcing that.
Exactly.
That's why I want to see it on the plan.
Yeah, you don't know what the homeowner's gonna do in 5 years.
You want us to put down what type of limits you want on the plans now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
why not?
You can't do that.
That's pretty standard. I thought you guys would come up with photometric plans. I've seen many of them so far.
Not
personally,
single, on a commercial, but not single family.
yeah, this is single family residence. I.
So what?
Again,
I wish that we could.
Let's
Let's
step back for a second. This is an approved building lot that was
Right.
approved back in 2006. So we're just trying to develop it now. And what we're going through right now, this whole thing is, we're like, you know, you almost don't want this lot to be built on.
So looking for a way to address
We're
your.
talking about the wetlands. We're here to talk.
Address your concerns, would putting in a vegetative barrier to block some of that light infiltration address your concerns or requesting one?
I don't think that's an option here because you'd be invading the space with, what are you gonna put in, like green giant arborvitae's all around the entire you know, bank of the woodland here and the river? No.
Just asking, it was a point of discussion.
Yeah. No, I'm speaking candidly. We have to talk about this. It's good.
The idea would not be to have arborvitae's follow the entire extent of the limit of disturbance.
It wasn't suggesting.
Yeah, I don't-
It would be impractical to do that.
Right.
Not to mention, it involves disturbing a lot more property.
Right.
And excavate a lot more material than is otherwise being proposed. The idea with plantings is that you are selectively placing them to areas of the property where you think the wetlands would be most affected by them. So if you're going back to the plans.
But Dave, can I just interrupt you? Because that's why we're going to the source here. We're going right to the positions of the lights, the lumens, and the color spectrum of the lights.
Right.
Because then you don't have to worry about the vegetative buffer.
So you have to think of where, let's pull up the site plans again. You have to think of where lights would be and what kind of lights that you would have in those locations. So if the applicant's telling you, we really don't have much of a backyard to use because it's steep. The commission should be inclined to think, well, they're not gonna try to put floodlights back up there because there's no backyard for them to light up.
But there's two patios, David. There's two patios, David.
Right. So they're saying that lighting would meet the building code. So if you want to have a condition of approval that says any lighting that is installed on those patios, obviously it has to meet the building code, but you can have it be shielded. So that way it's just light in the patio. That I don't see why that would be unreasonable to request that.
That would be really important, I think. Yeah, in that situation.
Right. If for other lights on other areas of the property, you could talk about the barn, because that might be with the way this driveway is shown. You don't know if there are vehicles that are going to be coming in and out of that, what
Right.
you know, that's for
So,
garden, what
For
have you.
example,
Right, and then there's.
with the barn, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like I can envision two small, like down, you know, I don't know what they call them, like hooded like lights, you know, or something, like however
Yep.
many, like to guide traffic in. But then are they going to put floods off the back? You know, are there going to be side lights onto this yard off the like side of the barn
Why
or
are they
something?
gonna flood the like backyard?
I don't get.
I'm asking. I don't see it on the plans.
Yeah, that's the other question. Who's gonna regulate this and regulate in the future? Because even
It's
though
our job.
Yeah.
Our job is to do that.
Regulate, you had Dave go out there and check the luminance on the lights then?
every 5 years,
Mr. DeVesta, excuse me. The lighting, site photometric plans and lightings, including lumens and color temperatures, is a very standard thing in your line of business, is it not? You've mentioned for commercial.
For commercial,
this
yes,
is-
but not.
this
for-
Okay. Well, this is an environmentally sensitive site and for a residential property. So if we're setting a precedent to manage the lighting, so be it.
So then we gotta do it, and everyone's gotta do it then. You just.
And nobody said that. We're talking about this site, this application, right?
Doesn't matter.
And who does that fall upon to regulate is the question. I know it's our duty to enforce it now during these conversations and these stipulations,
Yes, it
But-
is.
but I don't think that it's a reasonable request to have Dave travel to
I don't
multiple
think you
single
will.
family
That's not
dwellings.
within the purview of what. you
Why
do.
are we talking about that?
So that's where mine is. So if we can write something that makes an enforceable rule that at this time can protect it in the future, that's a good rule to have. But in this case, I'm just gonna have to,
I think we have to use a little bit of common sense and that's why I was saying they're not gonna be putting up stadium lights in the back and why would they be shining lights into the wetlands behind the barn? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know, but it's not on the plan, so we don't know what they're gonna do, right?
We don't, but I mean, there's a lot, they could bring in elephants, like, I don't know what
No,
they're
no,
gonna.
no, come on, guys. We're talking about lighting and we're talking about this site.
You're talking about trying to regulate what they're gonna do on the property in the future with no ability to actually put teeth behind what you want them to do.
Whoa, 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 no, excuse me. We're talking about site lighting and a plan, a site plan.
If you ask them to do that and they provide it, what's to say after the building has been put up, that in 5 years, they don't change it and do something else? We've talked about that before with other plans.
Nothing, that's a part of the
can't
permitting
regulate
process. Nothing, but we can't control what they do after, but we can control now, pre-build what gets built. It's our job.
well, if we make a happy medium, would it be unreasonable to request that they use shielded lighting on the back of the building to minimize,
In the back of the house or
Back
in
of
the
the
back of the
house.
barn?
back
I
of the
don't
house
think
to
you're putting any
minimize,
lighting on the back of the barn.
the output of light flow in? Is that a reasonable request that you have seen before, you or you?
I have not seen that in all the towns I've worked in, all the years I've worked, I've never seen that, it's, regulate luminance and type of lighting.
You've never seen a wetlands agency regulate lighting before.
Never.
Family.
On a
That
residential,
cannot be true,
Not-
Mr.
not-
DeVesta.
not
That
a
cannot be true, all due respect.
And all due respect, not residential, on commercial, yes, but not residential.
Okay, well, then you're missing something.
I'm not missing anything, sorry.
I'm,
Well, we're talking about lighting and controlling the lights. This is common sense, especially in an environment.
For a parking lot or for any other site where there is an expectation for the site to be substantially lit at night. That's where you would have an expectation for a lighting plan or a photometric plan or an equivalent of such. In this case, you're talking about a single family home where the idea isn't always to have the property lit up at night towards the wetlands or the water course. The idea for the comment that I provided to you was, if there is lighting, you be cognizant of having it be shielded where possible. And where it's practicable. So obviously, if you need to have a light that lights up a part of the garage or lights up an entryway that is required for the building code, you're going into the bounds for health and safety for, trying to prevent someone from using their property for a house. If you're talking about putting lights on the back of a garage, I think it's common sense that the applicant is not going to put any more lights on the property that is necessary for them to use it. Like if they're showing you that there's only one way to access the garage from the inside, and there's not really much use of the property behind the barn, what good is it going to be to have lights there? I understand trying to regulate lights and say this lumen, this foot candle, but you're going beyond what I'm allowed to do or what the authority that I have to do. I can't be going around people's properties at 10 o'clock, you know, at night, however many years down the road, trying to read with a light meter. That's not part of what my role is.
No, but I mean, if you see like abuses of a stated guide, you know, a lighting guide for the property or a specific site, you don't have. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job or anything. Like, I don't know. We're just talking about designing the site, like ideally for its situation, right?
Right.
I got one question. I got one. These lights aren't gonna be on 24 hours a day.
Right.
They're gonna be on, if somebody's using the patio, having a dinner outside around on the patio, they'll have the lights on during the patio. Might even have a romantic dinner, have a candle lights going on, something like that. That's not gonna affect in the wetlands. The barn, the lights aren't gonna be on the barn, whether if they're not there. They might be on a timer. They may be on a photocentric,
Motion detector.
motion detector, correct. So again, they're not gonna be on all the time. I think that's kind of, you know, I think what you're thinking, Nico, is that gonna be on all night long. They're only gonna be on when they need to be on, and that's it.
Yeah.
A front
I mean,
porch
you
light
don't
on.
know. It's like we don't know. Like I have neighbors, like you guys have neighbors. We all see different people treat their property.
You apply that same logic to a lot of things and say that you know, that lots of people abuse things, which sure, but at a level that it's important for us to regulate this.
Yeah,
lighting
it is.
themselves?
Yeah, the
Okay.
lighting in this is like basically a nature preserve. Like it's completely undisturbed woods. Like it's our job. We're surrounded by upland review area.
Your job, your scope of authority is for wetlands, not necessarily the area that surrounds them.
Yes, it is. We're surrounded by wetlands, and the upland review area is our charge.
Your charge is direct adverse impacts to wetlands.
And the upland review area as well, David. Excuse my correction. I was just reading about it in the report you sent to us.
If there's something that occurs within the upland review area that could adversely impact a wetland, then yes.
Yes, we're talking about construction in in a completely upland review area, basically. I'm not
Right.
meaning to argue. I don't want to argue with you guys, but I'm not gonna like not.
Okay, I don't think that we're gonna get much more out of this conversation.
I agree.
And the conversation itself should lead to our determination on what we're gonna. What we're gonna do
Thank you,
next
Kevin.
as a course of action, because we're kind of just being circular now. So if anything, we're gonna have to make some sort of decision on next step at
Well,
least.
so what do you want to do? Do you want to wait? To render a decision at the next meeting? Do you want to have the applicant provide you? With the soil scientist information? What are you looking for as part of your next steps?
I would like the soil scientist in delineation, if that's
Okay.
reasonable, but I know you already
Do
requested
you
that.
want that as if the commission were to favor this application favorably? Or decide this application favorably, would you want that as a condition of approval? Or would you want that before you rendered the decision?
So that's what you guys have to be comfortable with, because
Yeah.
Right.
I'm comfortable with accepting the application, approving, well, we accept the application,
Yes.
approving it with the two stipulations. But if you guys aren't comfortable with that, then you have to make a motion to move it to the next meeting.
No,
No.
there's no motion needed because
Or
it's
ask for
it's
what
part
you
of
need
your.
from Mr.
Right.
Costa
Right,
for the next meeting, for you to make a decision.
right.
I want more information about the gravel driveway, the runoff, the herbicides, and I don't know whether that is something that we ask Mr. DeVesta to produce, or whether that's something that I just need to research on my own to become more.
Well, if you research on your own, I would advise you share that with the
Of
commission, it
course.
should be part of the record.
Of course. I
But
would-
if you need the time to do that, and if you want to share that with the commission at the next meeting, then you should make that known.
that I am making
Okay.
that known, that is something that I want to have more information on before I'm comfortable rendering a decision.
Okay,
And I
That's
also,
acceptable.
okay, so it's just the three of us, Nico, it's just you, me and.
well,
Kev, I
well,
think.
it's the five of you I'm not
Fair
to
enough.
dismiss
No, I don't mean to
Greg
dismiss,
and Pat.
I don't,
dismiss away, right?
I don't wanna step on your guys' toes because. It looks like you're gonna make a decision either next meeting or continue it. And whatever you guys are comfortable with. I'm good with.
So,
Don't ask for a lumen chart, don't ask me
So-
for anything that he
so
can't
we're-
That's the
produce.
thing and I also would actually like to have it resurveyed, is that what we're asking for, or for soil
no,
science?
you're
Confirmation.
asking for a soil
Confirmation,
scientist to
correct.
agree with the delineation
Yeah.
that was given on the.
Those are two things that I personally would like,
Okay,
and aside from that, I don't need anything else.
okay. Do you want to come to a consensus for a draft resolution for next meeting?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah,
we're not
because you don't
having
have to
local
approve
use and
it.
we don't
Yeah,
have to-
yeah, if you
You're
find something that
comfortable.
makes, I'm comfortable
You're
as well.
comfortable. Nico, are you comfortable with the
Yep,
draft
sure.
solution of
Of
approval
approval.
with the two stipulations?
Yeah.
One would be the EPA and one would be a confirmation of from either a soil scientist of.
Yeah.
So I can have that available for the commission for their next meeting on December 11th.
Okay.
So is that what you're asking of me?
Yes, please.
Very good, and I will do that. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Good.
No, no.
Thanks for fielding all that. That was a lot.
Thank you.
That was a
Thank
lot.
Okay,
Thanks.
Next on the agenda, 70 Rockwell Road, who do we have first to speak of?
well, so the applicant, I believe is here, or the property owner is here, Mr. Bjorken.
Right.
So I would defer to him for whatever he has to present to the commission.
Shoot away, Mr. King.
You folks came up and viewed it and I was, waiting to. Hear your replies and what your thoughts are and, if there's. Remediation or stopping or, I'm interested to see what you folks have to say.
Was it Jim McManus spoke last meeting?
Right, so Mr. McManus submitted if I can pull it up here. He submitted a report to the commission, a restoration plan dated October 15th to the commission. That was one of the documents that was submitted for the commission's acceptance of this application.
Right.
It describes, without trying to speak on his behalf, it describes the condition of the property with respect to the area that he delineated. It goes into the restoration plans and some of the activities that Mr. Bjorken would conduct as part of that. And then there's a implementation and monitoring section at the bottom of his report, along with an aerial photo that shows the approximate area where he studied, where he located the water course, the property itself. There are some photographs that were taken of the property. This one is to the south, if I'm not mistaken. The water course is flowing to the foreground. This is of the eastern bank of the study area, and I believe this is taken from the west, showing that footbridge that exists out there now, the one that you used to traverse the property when you were conducting your site walk on the 19th. It is worth noting that Mr. Bjorken and his soil scientists were given review comments, which were included in the Google Drive for tonight's meeting. It is worth either Mr. Bjorken or Mr. McManus having some kind of response to those comments before the commission renders a decision. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at those were emailed to you and Jim last week. Okay, So I just wanna make sure that you,
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
familiar with the question.
So
or
Oh, okay.
without
comments.
answering those comments, are we able to even think of reviewing it right now?
well,
Until
I
that's-
I think it's worth having a dialogue with Mr. Bjorken about what's taking place out there. Not to put a spotlight on anyone in the audience, but an abutting property owner, Mr. Belanchette, and I believe his expert are also here. They may want to have an opportunity to provide some testimony on the application itself before you guys, so.
Okay.
It's worth having that discussion.
A small concern was there was some deterioration of the bank on your property, I believe. Correct, and I don't know if that was addressed in Mr. McManus's, I don't recall it being
I didn't see that either.
addressed in Mr. McManus's proposed.
Okay,
And can I piggyback on that in case there's something that I didn't, I did overview almost as much of the documentation as I could before I came in. But I know that initial discussions were to maybe even pull in somebody on our side to do just an analytic of downstream effects based on the change of water course from what he's doing and how it might affect banks downstream or erosion downstream.
so the biggest elements that I believe is pertinent to that is the fact that this water course is considered to be part of a floodway. And part of your regulations and part of the town's regulations say that, and FEMA for that matter say, that you cannot adversely impact a property's ability to either process or retain floodwaters. So if you're talking about it from that perspective, the applicant, if it's Mr. Bjorken or Mr. McManus, or if you think another expert is needed, they should substantiate why the work that has been done and what Mr. Bjorken is proposing to remain won't affect that adversely in any way. I mean, there's the erosion element to it, and the other comments that you mentioned to that as well, but that's what I believe precedes all of those things.
Yeah, does it negatively downstream impact the floodway itself?
Right.
It's kind of where I was getting at, and.
Right,
And I don't know if even if Jim is the individual that could answer that,
sure,
it
sure.
is what it comes down to, but I think that's a very pertinent question for. The applicant, for people. In the
Right.
neighborhood and for the water course itself, it's a question for the water course itself.
Right. If you look at how the comment is written in my report. I'll go to comment number 6, and I quote, as noted in a notice of violation letter dated August 9th, 2023, addressed to the property owner. The regulated activities appear to have occurred within a regulatory floodway, zone AE, as shown on those subject flood insurance rate map panels. The applicant shall demonstrate that neither the flood stage nor the flood capacity for this section of Lime Kiln Brook has been or will be permanently adversely impacted by the conducted and or proposed activities.
Which we've not received.
Correct,
That's a question I need answered.
that's correct.
Yeah, that like, so that's a
need
question
that
that yeah,
Right.
100%.
Right.
So I think.
Who wrote that?
I'm sorry,
That's from David.
that is part of my staff report.
You wrote that, okay. Okay.
So at this time, I would like to ask, and forgive me, I forgot your name, Ms. Blanchett, is it? So if you could state your name and address, and then who you have with you to make comments, that'd be great. If we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. No, yeah, come on.
We're
Yeah.
continuing.
We're continuing.
We want to hear
Like-
what you guys have.
Well, I mean, I think we all know why we're here, and.
Could you come to the front row so that we can get you on the camera?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all I have.
Gotta make it popular.
And then just state your name and address for the record, please.
Brian Blanchett, 4 Old Polyville Road.
Thank you. Your concerns or your comments.
Well, you guys had issued your order and revised order to correct. So I guess my concerns is that there hasn't actually really been a legitimate application submitted that meets all the criteria first and foremost, before we try to kind of delve into anything else. I didn't know if you had maybe an idea of when you thought maybe you might be able to present an actual but legitimate plan that it actually addresses, you know, everything that pertains to the complaint from the town. So this way you guys could have something to look at so we could move forward.
So what we received was a report from Mr. McManus.
That's correct.
And it would be to fix what had been done, but it looked like it was still, you know, ongoing work. It wouldn't be to totally put everything back.
Well, so
But David brought up questions and he sent off to Mr. Bjork and then Mr. McManus a list of questions that need to be answered to
yeah,
see if that plan is feasible or if we need more information
okay, yeah.
at this
That-
point.
that's
So there's no set plan that's accepted yet.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that. I guess kind of, and I've had this conversation with David. He was allowed to submit his application and you guys accepted his incomplete application. Because he was trying to satisfy your order to correct. Is that? So what happened was in a normal application, right? If I go into your office, I get the checklist, right? I have it over here, but it lays out for me all the stuff that I need that I'm required to give to you guys, right? Or else you don't accept my application. In this instance, you guys accepted his application without any of these requirements. And now basically it's making it so you can't really render a decision because you don't have a complete application. I'm just trying to figure out how we can all work together to get a proper application submitted with all the, you know, the stuff necessary that addresses all the issues created by, you know.
Situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we can move forward and then we can address why we're actually here. But if you guys don't make it so, or if you guys don't have an effective way to, you know, coerce him or get him to do that, you know, is very important. Then I don't really, I feel like my hands are tied, that's all. So we're kind of right back where we
Comments
started.
back to how long do they typically have to respond to that?
Well, it's not so much how long they have, it's how long you have to review the application. Your review period based on the application review process that you chose is it expires on December 27th. So
Right.
if the applicant just doesn't say anything for you to be able to render a decision, then you have to in turn say, I'm sorry, Mr. Applicant, but we didn't have enough information to render a decision, therefore we might be in a position to deny your application for the remediation plan that you've submitted. If they come back to you and say, we understand that there's some stuff that you need us to submit, we want to give you the opportunity to do that, please give us more time to prepare those things, then they would be essentially consenting to granting an extension for you to review this application. You have 65 days of extension time that can be used for that purpose. You have to receive a letter from Mark or from Jim, if Jim.
But now,
Go ahead.
well, no, but so there's no incentive for him to actually submit a plan until you guys deny his plan. Because if you don't deny his plan, he's just gonna get another 65 days. So the last meeting, Mr. Parafort made a recommendation at the end. I had some technical difficulties pertaining to a survey. Which was requested that would be at least in motion before the walkthrough. Which we all took time out of our days on a weekend to go to. A lot of this stuff would have been better explained, you know, on the sidewalk if people showed up. So this is kind of hindering the progress. So you know, it'd be, I think in a perfect world, I mean, I don't know if it'd be effective, but to deny the application and tell him to come, you know, he's gotta submit something legitimate that actually addresses the complaint in itself, the western portion of the bank, which is the initial, most important portion, you know, it's the cause of the issue that he's choosing to selectively address with his, you know, kind of incomplete application. So I
Question on
need
the process.
your help.
Yeah,
Kind of
no, that's-
facilitate
question,
this.
procedural question.
Go ahead.
If we do not accept or deny this application. The current status is cease and desist on what is occurring, but is there I can't remember based on this, yeah,
Well,
He had a deadline to submit an
So-
application so that
Yes.
it wouldn't be
so
escalated, so that he would have to
so my
address
question
it
is, if we
properly.
deny, does he have to start reversing what? he has done?
before we even get to that point, it's worth asking the applicant if they
Have intention
if
to-
they want to have the opportunity to address the comments that are in my staff report and the items that Mr. Danzer has provided in his report.
Didn't we do that when we opened? We invited Mr. Bjorken to address those comments and he said he hasn't received them
Yeah.
or read them yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did open a PDF file and I read what it said.
Okay.
I didn't perceive any particular questions that, you know, from that.
Did you contact the land surveyor, to survey your property since the last meeting?
It's the survey is, the map is right there.
The map that you submitted with your application, it's a GIS map, it's not a map.
So
So
we require a survey.
no, you're looking for a site plan. You're looking for a site plan that is based on a survey. So Mr. McManus is a soil scientist. He can
Right.
locate where activities have taken place. But as Mr. Blanchett said, he's only approximated them
Right.
on a GIS map. And furthermore, you have to discern whether or not the entire area that or the area that Mr. McManus has shown on that GIS aerial image is reflective of the entire scope of work that you want Mr. Bjorken to address.
It is not, by my estimation.
Okay.
And I'm not, did we not request an engineer to come in and talk to us a little bit about that? Because don't you need an engineer to build a retaining wall?
Well, for the zoning regulations, engineered specs are required for retaining walls that are greater than 4 feet.
I didn't get my tape measure out.
Right. The walls when we were out there, I guess that would be worth looking into as to what the height of those walls would be and where you would measure them from, or are they measured from?
I'm not an engineer.
Right,
No,
from the average base of flow for water, or from where the base of the material is placed, or something else in between. I wouldn't be able to know that for sure.
Sure.
Um,
But we don't have anything to analyze.
right.
yeah,
So if I may, I think Mr. Bjorken, what the commission is asking, if I may speak for them, is you have comments from my report and from Dr. Danzer via Mr. Blanchett that you'll need to have addressed for the next meeting. And to go with that, you would need a plan that is based on a survey that would show us where the activities that you have conducted thus far are, and the areas of your property that you intend to remediate or include as part of this application. Once those are submitted, then the commission can have a dialogue about what is shown on those plans, what has taken place, whether or not they are appropriate, and whether it's something that the commission can render a decision on. At this point, we're just kind of, we're treading water. We don't have anything new, and we don't the commission doesn't have anything that they can,
Review.
well, that they can have productive discussion to base off of.
So my comment would be also that you have. It expires on the 27th. The
The-
next meeting
the-
is the 11th.
The
Correct.
site plan review
So-
period expires on.
Don't have the information at the next meeting, there's a good chance it's gonna get denied.
Well,
I mean, if
well,
I was
well,
still
I-
sitting in this chair at the next meeting, that's what I would
Well,
say.
the-
Because I've lost patience.
the applicant can request the commission to consent to an extension.
And I would say no, because I've lost patience and we've gone over this and over
Understood.
this and over this. And when are we gonna get our feet moving? And when are we gonna get this done? When are we gonna have the proper people? Give us the information that we need to help rectify this situation that was brought before us.
Okay,
I was under the impression that that was all gonna be done this evening. That's why
Me too.
I brought somebody with me. Could we maybe find out if there was, I mean.
I mean, to
think
hear
we are
that,
treading
to
water.
hear that I opened a PDF, but I didn't act on it is not acceptable.
And it
to
had to
me.
be in, it was on the Google Drive on Wednesday. I can't keep coming, I mean.
No, I understand where you're coming
We have
from too,
people trying to
but
build
legally, we have
do
until,
real stuff
they have
here.
until the 27th, technically.
Legally, we've had precedents in
No, no.
this where the ball's been dropped, how many times?
How many times? Yeah, all I'm saying
And
is,
it's getting frustrating as a committee.
We don't have what we need.
I would agree that it's
How
not.
our hands
by the
get
11th.
tied, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
And I know it's probably because it's my last meeting and I really don't care what I say. Somebody needs to poop or get off the pot here, all right?
I think the first time that we looked at this, when you first brought it to us, and we didn't have anyone in attendance to speak on it.
Mhm.
But people were invited to come and speak on it, that we offered the benefit of the doubt in that moment to.
You're talking about for the enforcement actions.
I'm not sure how to phrase it, so I'll go
Yeah.
with you on that one.
Okay,
And that we were going to, because Mr. Bjorken was invited to attend that meeting to put his proposal on the table at that time. Is that accurate?
well, it was a show cause hearing
Okay.
is what was
He could
conducted.
have showed up, I mean, the application that he submitted, he could have showed up here the first time that you all asked him to show up and he
Understood,
didn't
that's
show
what
up.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
he
get
could
at.
have done, because it's not like you were giving him the benefit of the doubt by giving him the 2 weeks here and the.
Understood, that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to get at. So we offered him the benefit of the doubt in hopes for a cooperative arrangement with him. and
Right.
Gave him the benefit of time to
Okay.
produce.
So what are you saying? Do you want those materials submitted by? Or for the commission's review on the 11th?
I think that we need them before the 11th, because I think that we need to review them.
Right, so
On
that's
Google
why
Drive.
I'm saying for the 11th,
Yeah,
not by the 11th,
Yeah.
for the 11th.
yeah, before the 11th, so that would be at least 24 hours to take a look at them before so we can come in and have a valid discussion
Right,
on them. And if they're not there, then there's because
The,
we're sitting here not discussing it.
but so correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of learning about this now. If the meeting is on the 11th, which is what day of the week?
that's a Monday.
It's a Monday,
So-
always a Monday.
So this has been our issue with this, and this is kind of how this has gotten to where it is now. In order for it to be on the agenda for the Google Drive, it has to be submitted by the Wednesday before the 11th. Which
Well-
in essence is not really, is the same thing as saying it should have been here right now, or
So,
on this
so,
coming Monday, or you know what I
so
mean?
Yeah.
It's
last
kind of, and
last Wednesday, the deadline for this meeting was last Wednesday because we observed Thanksgiving on Thursday.
okay,
And we had following Friday as a day off. This building was
What would the
closed.
deadline be?
The
for the
normal deadline would be Thursday.
so the 8th of December,
Right, the 8th of December. That's correct.
so that's next.
That
next
that is
Thursday.
that is next, that is
Next-
2
or next
Wednesdays
Friday.
from now.
2 Thursdays, bro.
2
Not
Thursdays.
this-
No, that's
No,
okay.
Not this Thursday.
This-
That's the 7th.
Right, the 7th. So
That's
that is 2 Thursdays from now. There's the
That's-
30th and then
10
there's
days.
December 7th.
I mean, do you
So
want
be
to
it.
ask if that's enough time?
What I wanna know is whether there is a very clear explicit list of everything, I'm sure there is, right? That has been provided to Mr. Bjorken of what we require.
There's an application checklist that was given as part of the
And
application.
how much of that is still outstanding?
So An application checklist is meant to reflect what was submitted, not so much to say, this is what we require. Right, and then based on the materials for the application. And based on what is performed as part of that review, then you can come back and say, okay, you gave us this, we need this. You gave us this is enough.
So we've done that now a couple of times.
Right, yeah.
So do we have any percentage of those items?
You have the application, you have your payment, and you have the restoration plan from Mr. McManus.
Yep.
The biggest item is your site plan that's based on the survey.
Okay,
And we have not requested an engineer to come in and.
If you feel an engineer is appropriate to speak to the floodway elements and the potential for erosion to be carried, then that's something that you should discuss amongst yourselves.
So,
May I address?
in my mind.
Yes.
Sure, can you state?
Don't mean to interrupt, I'll be very brief. For the record, Steve Danzer, soil scientist, professional wetland scientist. The other thing I have to say is that customarily and professionally, the only appropriate person who's qualified to evaluate the downstream impacts in this case, or any cases within a floodway, would be a professional engineer. So you're gonna need them for that, let alone any issues with the retaining walls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, and that's. To piggyback on you, he made a request within his notations. Which kind of drives to that point as well, because in order to establish those downstream effects. That would need to occur.
So I realize that it's cart before the horse a little bit, but that's what the whole process with this has been.
Mhm.
If we deny that application on whatever grounds, be it that we didn't receive the information or we deny the request because we don't feel like it's an appropriate request or, that it's gonna have an adverse impact or already has, or any of that, we still are left with, what do we do now? Because there's
Which is the
already
real
work
problem.
that's been done and there's already
right.
impacts that have happened.
Right, so you're either going to get something that says the way things are. We have information to substantiate that there is no adverse impacts because of the work that has been done. Or you're going to get information that doesn't address those concerns for you. Where you say you haven't given us a substantive evidence to say that that's not going to be a concern. And then you go back to the order to correct, which says you have to return the property to the conditions effective when Mr. Bjorken bought it, which was back in, if I go back to the order to correct.
So perhaps this isn't really a question for me so much, but a question for you. How do we? If that's where we land, how do we know what it looked like before and how do we substantiate that it was returned? to that
So as part of the record, Mr. Blanchett submitted photographs of the property that showed what that area looked like before that part of the property was disturbed.
So any materials that have been brought into the site, which it certainly appears that lots of materials have been brought in, or any materials that have been shifted from within the water course itself.
Right.
All have to go back to where they were.
That, right, you would effectively be saying, if you cannot give us an application that substantiates that what you have done does not adversely impact the wetlands, then you have to return the property to a state where nothing was disturbed, or bring it back to the pre-disturbed conditions.
I'm struggling
At
to
that
see
point,
how.
I would think you would
regulate that.
absolutely need an
So the
engineer.
engineer would have to answer that question,
Right.
correct?
There you go.
We can't answer that question.
But I mean, I know it's like it is nothing, it's new, but it's nothing, I mean, this should have all been understood, right? That's why we didn't,
I understand. I'm
Right.
trying to
not
have
not
the
you,
full,
I'm
the full open
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah, yeah.
here in the meeting so that it's documented, so that everyone who's in attendance and anyone who wants to
Yeah.
review it later.
So if you ask a question about a survey and the answer is that a map was provided and it's a GIS map, then the answer, if that's the answer to the question, the answer is, I feel I've already provided sufficient. Right, which is like. you
And
said,
the
where
response
we're
was,
at.
that's not sufficient,
Yeah,
and we
and that-
require a survey.
Yeah, like it's not a bridge or it's Yeah. I'm not telling you, so you understand, I'm just,
Putting it on the record.
I mean, pretty understood, it should be understood.
Well, I guess so where we're at is we need. To double down on the fact that, are we in agreement that by next? By the 11th, by the meeting on the 11th, we need a site plan,
Well, you
We
need
need-
it submitted that Thursday by the
the
latest. that
Thursday
before
prior,
the
so
11th.
for the 11th.
Could you guys tell him that?
Thursday the 7th.
Or-
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
Cause I don't want him to say he didn't get the
Well, it's gonna have to
memo
go
or
out.
the
It's all
PDF.
going into the.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all going in. But I just wanna make sure we're covering our bases for what we're requesting too, right? What we want a site plan.
Right.
We are going to need, we need your notes answered.
Right,
Responded to,
right.
outside of
And
that,
engineer. comments.
I would, I mean, it's short notice, but whatever, it's not short notice, it's 2 months notice. Yeah, and engineers notations. On the effects of the multitude of what he needs to provide, downstream effects to it, whether or not it's, safe and manageable.
You essentially want an engineer to take a look at the
Take a look at it.
application
Right.
and provide comments with respect to the
Yes.
comments for floodway, water capacity and
The
things of
whole
that
long
nature.
list, I didn't wanna
Right.
reiterate the whole list, but
Right.
yes,
Right.
everything that we spoke on.
So if the engineer can't have it by next Thursday, can we extend it a bit? So if he says,
Well,
14 days.
your standard review period takes you to December 27th.
okay,
If you wanted to, if you wanted to consider an extension for that, you would be looking to either schedule a special meeting between the 11th of December and whenever your regular meeting would take place in January, which tentatively would be scheduled for January 22nd.
I would be inclined to not offer an extension unless there's a substantial display of attempting to meet the requirements
Yeah.
and some sort of a very clear block to being able to deliver those that.
well, if the engineer says,
That's what.
That would be the example, when the engineer is scheduled to be here.
Swartz and I
I
don't
understand.
think ready
Got
for
a
2 weeks.
response, that
Yeah, 2
an
weeks,
engineer
weeks,
was
right.
actually contacted.
Right,
Yeah,
rather than-
Yeah, if the engineer was contacted or reaches out to us, that's,
From,
I
from
understand.
my perspective, if he had provided us with the same map that he provided with, but it actually showed and acknowledged all the stuff that was left out on the western portion of the bank, I mean, I feel like that is acknowledging, making some sort, but to give you this plan that's not even addressing the complaint, it's not, I mean, that's basically no plan at all. It's,
So that's what we're requesting is a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Of how we're going to address this and whether, an engineer, I'm not an engineer.
me neither.
I don't even play one on TV. So I can't, but yes,
Yeah, if that's what you need, then that's what you're asking for.
well, I'm one voice,
I'm in full agreement with that,
Absolutely.
3.
Nico?
yeah, I mean, if we,
4.
I've wanted an engineer to weigh in on this the whole time, yeah, it'd be good.
Yes.
so we need a
Oh,
date
sorry,
for
Nico, I
the
forgot you were
delivery
there.
from the engineer.
There you go.
I'm sorry,
We need a date for the delivery
hiding.
from the engineer.
what do you mean it did it delivery?
Well,
The
if-
7th.
when
Everything's
when
7th.
can he provide it to
So,
us?
so for the, to meet the deadline to have items put in the Google Drive and, for that to be part of the agenda, it should be provided to us no later than Thursday, December 7th
Right.
at close of business.
Okay.
So, 6 o'clock, if that information is not in hand, then Mark or Mr. Bjorken should be saying, or should be giving something that's access, or that
Addresses.
that addresses, I'm trying to make an attempt to do this,
Hmm.
but I haven't been able to do it, here's why.
Well, I think that, I mean, we'll say whatever we need to say at that point, I think at this. Intersection, we make those stipulations and we go with it, what do we need to do in order to do that? We need a motion for those items?
No, it's part of the record.
It's part of the
and it's-
record.
And it's been on, it's been discussed for this meeting, the meeting before, the meeting when you did the revised order to correct. And when the notice of violation was initially brought to
I
you.
hate asking this, and maybe it's out of my scope to ask this, would you be so kind as to email Mr. Bjorken and any applicable party? Those list of requirements
Yeah,
that we just stated?
Yeah,
That way
that-
Mr.
that I
Bjorken
can do.
has them
That I can
readily
do.
accessible, and then
Not a
that way it's also dated in.
Yeah,
in a-
I can
in
put
a-
that
in
on.
actual transcript.
not a problem, I could put
Yeah,
that on a
oh,
list.
would you be so kind? That'd be
Yeah.
great.
I can do
Yeah,
that.
anybody else that's applicable?
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
It'll be a memorandum to the commission. And it's for the applicant's benefit and to any other parties that are so interested, they'll get a copy of what you are requesting.
So you guys won't approve the application. I just want it, unless he's met all this. Okay, correct. That's all right.
oh, so we can't.
That's
Right,
fine.
well,
Yeah.
you cannot render a
Answer that
decision.
question,
Yeah, yeah.
but
You can't render a decision, let alone approve the application.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We
okay.
can't even get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just trying to render a decision at this. point.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure if I'm not around, I'll do my, but if I can't make it on the 11th, hopefully everything gets turned in. It can't be unless it's on the Google Drive by the 7th, there's no way you're gonna approve this on the 11th.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
So we want it to be on the Google Drive by the 7th.
That's correct. 6 PM is when our doors close and when the agenda will have to be filed by. So.
Okay.
And that's.
And then we'll make sure that a listing is sent to you of exactly what we're
That's,
requesting.
that's on my
as a memorandum.
first thing tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
Okay. Anything else to discuss?
Can I just ask a practical question?
Uh,
A motion to,
Oh, wait, Nico, what's up?
Nico's got a question.
okay,
Sorry, let's go, but practically speaking, like, let's say, we're not satisfied or Ms. Bjorken doesn't give us like the engineering document or the site plans that we need. Then we deny the application, right, potentially. But like in the real world, so my only concern is that in the real world, like the stream bank on the east side of the river is eroding currently, correct?
so east
Yeah,
and west was, which side was yours?
East.
East.
Mr. Blanchett?
That's correct. Yeah, the east,
Right.
which is his application, yeah.
And
His
isn't the
application
whole,
is-
okay. But I kind of just wanted to hear from Mr. Bjorken too, if you want to chime in, sir. Is the idea to stop the erosion from happening, which it sounds like, according to Jim McManus, it is.
Yes, but I stopped, when. David came out and that's when I stopped and it. Just need to put capstones on it and it would be done, but. I'm stopped and that's the erosion.
Capstones. Sorry to interrupt you.
The erosion was occurring because it's undermining underneath these trees and there's a gigantic 90-foot tree that's would be next after it keeps going and going and going.
So, okay. I mean, it seems to me the sooner the work gets done, the better, but,
Right, I think everyone that's on this commission would agree with you. But the idea for stopping or for ceasing the work is for us to have a chance to review what has taken place thus far.
Yeah.
Without any further work taking place.
Mhm.
The work that Mr. Bjorken did was to stabilize the site in its current condition.
The work on the eastern, the work on the eastern side that he's done so far.
Right,
But if you're, Nico, if you're concerned about the erosion on the eastern bank,
Mhm.
then you should be concerned about the work that was performed on the western side of the river. That's.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? So.
Yeah.
If the western side wasn't, if that didn't occur.
Manipulated. Yeah.
You're pushing water in the alternate directions, what you're doing. You're just you're kind of restructuring the flow of water, which can
why
change
you
erosion.
need an engineer to look at it.
Hence engineering.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. It's an interesting project. I just want to see it done well, safely.
would you want our engineer to weigh in on this as well?
Yes,
Okay,
If available,
Okay.
I would definitely like that.
okay.
but
Then,
not in place of.
no, understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you for
If
the
available
suggestion.
and if an option, yes.
Then I will
So we need
forward.
a motion to continue it to the next meeting.
It's not a motion, but I would just state for the record, this site plan review is being continued to the next regular meeting on December
Alright,
11th.
so 7 Rockwell Road will be reviewed on the December 11th meeting, hopefully with all the information asked for. David will send out an email tomorrow morning, and we'll also contact our engineer. And good luck.
Okay, very good.
All right,
Anything else for that?
that's it for that.
It is
Okay.
for 7 Rockwell Road.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Can I ask the commission to take a brief motion for recess,
For a bath-
3 minutes for
Bathroom
a bathroom break?
Sure.
Yes.
3
Yes,
minutes.
please.
Yeah, the run.
Yes.
No, yeah, take this.
I make a motion, we
Thanks for
recess
taking a
for a brief amount of potty time,
Seconded.
3 to 5 minutes.
Okay,
3 minutes. Second.
All in
Aye.
favor?
All in favor, aye.
Can I
Okay.
check my phone? I can check my
Motion
phone
carries.
number. Yep, we're good.
All right, I'd like to recall and restart the meeting. And
we're
the time
resumed at
resume at
9:40.
9:49.
Oh, boy.
Next on the agenda, business items, I believe, right?
Yes, your business items.
Regular meeting minutes from 10:23. Did everybody get a chance to look over them? And do we have a motion to accept?
Sure, I'll put a motion to accept on the floor.
Is that as written?
I'll second.
As written.
Kevin
I'll
will
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, so that's everybody. All right. Inland Wetlands Special Commission, the special meeting minutes, which would be the site walk from, was it the 19th?
That's correct.
19th. I was not there, so I believe 3 of you were.
Yeah.
So if you guys would like to accept those and make a motion
I make a motion to accept
as
Okay.
written,
as written.
Second.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, very good. And then the other 2 items that you added on the agenda, the first of which is 56 Codfish Hill Road.
Correct.
I will pass a draft resolution of approval. And I will also attach, because I forgot to mention it during the site plan review, an email that we received today from an abutting property owner regarding this activity. It may, yeah, no, I'm gonna give them each of you. It may be worth discussing that letter first before we go into the draft resolution, not that it's really going to impact very much. But as you guys will see here in a minute, but I think it's worth just going over, just because I want to make sure that that is acknowledged for the record, and I'll add this to the draft resolution to reflect this. But basically, there's a gentleman who abuts, who owns a property that abuts 56 Codfish Hill Road. He is essentially asking for the land use office to provide provide whatever notifications we can for when construction activities will take place, you know, with earth moving, with building the house, and any other improvements that are of that nature. I discussed these comments with him before tonight's meeting. I will do my best to facilitate that dialogue with whoever buys this property and with the abutting property owner as best I can. There's not much in here that I would say is pertinent to wetlands. But I just wanted you to note that it was submitted as part of the record. I don't think it really would influence the way you would make a decision very much. And I'm sorry you can't review this, Nico. I didn't put this in the Google Drive because It was only given to us today and I wouldn't have wanted to add material to it so late.
Could you scroll it? Paul?
Yeah, I could, that I could do.
Can you scroll it or text me a picture of it or something?
I'll do a quick I'll do the quick Star Wars scroll of it.
It's a pretty easy
As
read.
as I like to call it here. Let me find it.
Or
for you.
Kevin, if you want to give me the gist of it, you can too.
Here, let me just scroll it so that we have it in for the record. Okay,
It's a neighbor.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll,
He's with us
once,
today.
once you read it, you'll understand.
Yeah,
When I
Arthur,
got-
Arthur's sitting here. Oh, where's,
There it
he's
is.
Oh,
here,
thanks.
here, Rico, Arthur.
Cool.
Go.
You'd have to come up here, he can't see.
Want me,
Oh. so
whenever
we
you
can-
want me
You can
to.
wave
You
too.
can if you want to.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Come up and speak. Yeah, come on up and speak. State your name, address, and then.
Yeah, so, my name is Arthur Dow, owner of 58 Codfish Hill Road, which is just to the west of the property that's, up for our review. Lived there 20 years and, I saw, from looking at records that Mr. Evans, owns the property and I guess he never developed it and years went by and kind of, all of a sudden this sale went, or, is pending, I guess, this application. So it's kind of an interesting thing because it's got the wetland. So it's not going through just the regular permitting process. It's going through you guys. So I realize that a lot of what I'm discussing in here and requesting and so forth, it doesn't deal with wetlands, but it's still, as a homeowner that's next door, is important. And so if you read the introductory paragraph, our family is not objecting because it's somebody else's land. We could have offered to buy it. I guess we didn't because there might have been issues, but now it looks like it could be approved for a building lot. And so we're just concerned about, all of a sudden machinery showing up and a lot of dust, a lot of noise. That's sort of the short run aspect of it. Obviously, there's the sort of privacy issue of where the house is placed. I saw the drawings, the plan where it's supposed to be. Hopefully, it could be a little more to the front because if you look at the picture of the lots, that would provide more distance and it would be a win-win situation for the people that are going to live there and for our family to, not walk out the yard and just be right there. It's kind of like you move there because there's a good distance between neighbors. I think the subdivision of this lot that took place just before the year before we bought it in 2002, they did the minimum setback that you could do to get the most bang for the buck and make another lot that they could then sell to Mr. Evans. He actually bought that, I think, about 6 months before we bought our house there. We love our neighborhood. I kind of feel when I say this first bullet point that it would have been nice if everybody got a letter saying, these meetings are going to take place. I would have come back in September, and I didn't find out till I kind of followed up with Dave, and I talked to him way back in the spring, and there was nothing going on, and then all of a sudden I saw something on Zillow that said the thing was pending at some point. I think it might have been during the summer. And then I called David in the fall and I found out, oh, this is well underway already. And you guys have been out and engineers and wetland consultants. I've looked at all the materials. So all we're looking for is just to have some knowledge of when things are going to happen. And hopefully, they'll do it in a way that doesn't cause a lot of noise, exhaust, and dust, because it's going to be close to the property that we have. I think Mr. Adams that lives across the street, and also Lenny, I don't know his last name, the people at 17 and 19 that are abutting property owners would probably want to know, because the trucks are going to come with like a lot of fill and it might get muddy in the street, and it's kind of nice to know the schedule of things. I don't know if this is customary, but I did some research online and it says, it's good to go and reach out in a collegial way or friendly way to people. instead of be kind of like, all of a sudden there's a problem.
Right.
It's always good to try to avoid trouble. I mean, this last case showed me, you know, that things can happen and you don't want to have that happen.
I'm sorry, can you state your name for the record?
Yeah, Arthur Gow,
And your address?
58 Codfish Hill Road.
Thank you. For Mr. Gao's education, and for the commission's edification, there, most if not all of the items that Mr. Gao is expressing concern or interest about, they're all in the site plans. All of the site plans that have been submitted for you guys, they're part of the public record, so you or any of your neighbors can review those at any time. If you're so inclined, you can print the materials from the Google Drives that are prepared for every meeting, or hard copies can be made here in the land use office. But they go into, give an overview for items such as excavation and fill, where the property will be regraded, where the house will be located with respect to property lines, where items such as anti-tracking pads will be located so that you're not getting dirt and rocks spewed out into the street, because Public Works would have a huge issue with that. And other things of that nature. It was part of your review process when you looked at these plans with the applicant's professional engineer, Mr. Mizuko, back during your October 23rd regular meeting. That recording is available online for you to take a look at. So everything is part of an established record at this point. We will do our best to facilitate whoever buys this property communicating with Mr. Gao and perhaps some of the other owners if they want to be that courteous enough, which I don't see why they wouldn't be, to kind of give an idea for when construction would take place. There's a general phasing plan that's described in your site plan sheets that kind of gives a basic order of operations, but as to when specific stuff will happen, i.e. the septic system will be constructed on this day, the foundation will be poured on this day, that we.
Does a lot of that, timetable go to planning and zoning so that you would be able to?
No.
Access that, or
So,
would it just?
They just give the okay.
So there's a zoning application review that is customary for all construction. So if there were no wetlands on this property, the property owner or whoever bought this property would have just submitted a zoning application with all of the items that you guys reviewed for wetlands, but we would have just reviewed them for zoning and of course engineering as well. Those would still have all been available for public record, site plans, reports and what have you. It's just here, there was a public process per se, because there's wetlands on the property. You guys had opted for the site plan review process, so it wasn't part of your standard procedure to have butters notices or legal notices where it would have been a requirement for the applicant to give mailings describing when these hearings would take place and whether or not they had been continued or something to that effect. So here we are. It puts the property owners in a position of being diligent and having to keep track of things when they don't necessarily know how to keep track
Well,
of
I think
that.
it would avoid,
Yeah,
in the financial and business world, transparency, I mean, obviously is a big thing about
Right.
earnings or about,
right.
so I think doing this in a way that avoids, again, like this, that if people could know and then show up the whole time, it would have probably, I don't know, how other people would, maybe would have reacted as much because they're in different locations.
Yeah.
And then there's like the haunted house, as we call it, which is one of
Right.
the ordinance people on the other side.
Right,
So there's nobody to really care about that. The people, I guess the kids live in Massachusetts that, and then there's the other ordinance that have the big house,
sure,
but that's in the back of the vernal pool.
sure.
And then the Higgins, which are at 60, which they're
Yeah.
again back by the vernal pool, they won't really care too
Yeah,
much.
this,
We're at both the vernal pool and then the side.
Smiling that you know all your neighbors by name and where their kids live. It's a nice community.
It's a very nice neighborhood.
The MO for this commission, and I don't mean to explain this all to you, but it's to focus on weapons related items. So things of the nature that Mr.
Right,
Gallo
not
is discussing, I don't want to dismiss them, but they're more appropriate for us on the administrative level.
Like the
Yep.
resolution. Well, other than cutting the tree, maybe that are wrong, I don't know how much, you know, so that.
Well, you can look at the plan,
There's the plan.
here and also online.
Here's the road.
So they're actually stopping and you can see where they're putting.
I see where the house is gonna be potentially, it's here. Now, how high up, so this is down in the valley, if you look at the
Right.
pictures,
Yeah,
so. Are they gonna make that, are they gonna build that up?
So then here on over, they're really not doing
No,
much.
this
and
is
they're-
a tree
they're
line
actually
here?
Gonna put a new tree line in
Yeah.
here
and
So,
then
Mr.
that
to
is-
protect that. as
Right,
well.
but I mean, is this gonna be like
Yeah.
20 feet higher, or is this gonna be?
Mr. Vice
It's all on the
Chairman,
plans.
Yeah,
It
I
does
don't mean,
say?
I don't mean to interrupt, but it's not really the commission's position
Mhm.
or place to explain an application that they're reviewing. I would be more than happy if you have time.
Well, that's the
tomorrow
thing,
or-
so when I look out my kitchen window
Yeah,
or the side sun porch, you know, to see. What I'm gonna see is kind of like.
so I would be more than, if you have time tomorrow or
Sure.
perhaps later this week,
Okay.
if you want to make an appointment with me, I would be more than happy to go to.
Okay, yeah, I don't wanna be in.
Oh, it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand your
Yeah.
concerns and.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, listen.
And, you know, I imagine at some point I will be having a conversation with either Mr. Evans or whoever buys this property for how the house will get constructed, and I will certainly let them know that you are interested in just knowing what takes place.
You know,
and when.
and again, we have one of our two 14-year-old
Yeah.
twin boys is. Severely on the autism spectrum, he gets sent every day down to Trumbull to Aspire Living and Learning Academy, and. I'm not sure, you know, what effect, if there's a lot of machinery. You know, it might be nice to be able to talk to them about doing that while he's in school.
Yeah,
You know, so that after school, it's not so loud, you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that, so that, you know.
and I will do my best to facilitate. Passing your
Yeah.
contact information to them and vice versa, so
Right.
that you two can have that dialogue.
Right.
You're very personable. I think that the best course of action for this would actually just be to meet your neighbors and have
Thank
a
you.
conversation with
Yeah.
them.
Well.
Because as much as we can play intermediaries,
No, we can't actually.
Well,
Not your
right,
job.
it's
No,
not
no,
your
no,
job
you
as a
can't.
commission, and IS staff can help in that role.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who the.
See, I don't
buyers-
have the, all I know is Mr. Evans,
Right,
and I thought, when I looked it up, it said Wilton, but you're saying it's Texas. The address,
the,
it said.
And the letter has
the
I
address,
think
that
it's
is-
on the town card, whatever, the
Yeah.
property tag, the card that's in the file.
the address that Mr. Evans gave on his application. For his mailing address was in Texas.
Okay,
So that's the address that we have to use for correspondence for this application. So he may have a different address and if there is a more appropriate address to send information for him to, I can certainly ascertain.
and then the buyer is the person that we want to talk to.
Right, and
Mr. Evans is just gonna collect the check.
yeah, and
Right.
whoever that is, I can ask Mr. Evans to forward that information to me. So that they can get in contact with you and any of your other neighbors that are interested in how they construct on the property.
They probably would be, you know,
Sure.
people wanna know if there's gonna be noise at certain times.
Sure,
It'd be just, it avoids,
right,
you're standing there and all of a sudden, boom. you
Yep.
know. You'd like to know, oh, Monday morning, they're gonna start this.
Yep.
Next week, they're gonna do this. Now, you realize that construction can have delays and extensions and stuff like
Right.
that, but at least you have some idea.
right,
Yes,
of what to
understood.
expect.
understood.
Yeah.
for the noise.
So I wanted to bring that
You
letter
have to have
to,
dust kept down,
yeah,
because, you know, that's would be another
Yeah.
nuisance.
I wanted to bring that letter to your attention to give respect to Mr. Gau's concerns and just let them
I
know.
appreciate it.
That this commission is acknowledging them for what they can, but most of the items are zoning related, so. Unless you have any questions of Mr. Gao, I would advise we get into discussing the draft resolution.
So let's do the Star Wars
Okay.
roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gower. Appreciate it.
I can still stay for the.
Yeah,
You can stay.
so I will bring up the draft resolution for this application on the screen. Be advised that you know, you guys can amend the draft in any way you wish in terms of conditions, so.
Great.
Everybody has a copy in front of them, right? Nico, I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you.
Thanks.
I mean, if you feel that it's better if I leave the room, I also.
You can stay.
No,
No,
the public is invited to.
Public's invited to attend every meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Is this a good scroll speed, Nico?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Alright, so let us do its scroll thing and. Look at the files. You wanna copy this?
Yes, please.
There we go.
Thank
you.
What's the noise ordinance in Bethel? Do you know, Dave?
I don't think we have any.
No, there is a noise ordinance. Off the top of my head, I do not know it. But I do know for zoning, you're only allowed to conduct excavation activities from 8 AM to 5 PM, Monday through Friday, no holidays or weekends.
What about leaf blowers?
That yard equipment may be exempt from the ordinance.
What about just blowing stuff up, like M80s?
I would wanna talk to the farmer, you know that.
My fun.
But the garbage men can come at 6 in the morning.
No, they can't actually. They do, but they can't.
No, 6 AM.
I come at 4.
Oh, you're supposed to tell the selectman, he's not.
I don't care.
Can I ask another question? Does the other construction can happen at any time, like other than just excavation?
Well, there's a noise ordinance. I don't wanna get into what that entails, just because that's not part of this.
I mean, like
commission's
raining
purview.
or.
It's a question that I would perhaps be better equipped to answer
I understand.
when my brain's.
I understand it.
Okay.
You're,
So we
Um,
stop scrolling. Are we good?
Yeah.
We had, what, refresh my memory because I'm,
We had
Okay.
requested.
yes, what did we wanted to add a stipulation and did we not?
I think there was a stipulation, correct me if I'm wrong, about plantings. Nico, did you get all of this?
Well, Mr. Mizuko was here. He just ran us through it, right?
Oh,
Right.
he's told me he was leaving, he was okay with it, but he put the line of trees on here. Is it
Right.
listed? Is it listed in the
He
items?
put a line of green giant arborvitaes.
Yeah, does that have to be
Yeah.
added to his document?
Well, he has provided he has provided the locations for plantings on the plan.
Right,
Mhm.
So you guys now know where they're going to be and furthermore, what they're going to be.
Yeah.
So if you think what has been added to this plan is appropriate, then you don't need to add anything else in the way of conditions for this application. The only other thing I could think of, perhaps would be shielding. Or a shield for an environmentally sensitive area. I'm trying to recall if that was something that had been discussed at the last meeting.
Oh, that would be good.
Okay,
Put one
So-
of those up, probably.
so you, if you do want something added to that effect, I would advise that you come up with language to reflect a condition for
What
that.
do you mean shielding, Dave?
The
Those
placards
things
that we have?
The placards, thank you, that's better.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
I just think.
Those sign- I don't-
Don't even look
The
at it.
sign.
And they're just
So
putting
I
those
throw
trees
away
to
some
block that area anyways, but everybody's in all those trees to block people from getting into that area. I don't wanna throw placards on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that, on this particular. Residence, I'm okay with not putting those up.
Two for no, Nico, you want the placards?
I would just do one, just denoting that it's a, because it's a vernal pool for the homeowners so that they know.
So I think if I remember correctly from looking at the site. Plan. Is that the right word, the map?
The site plan, you got it.
That the vernal pool is like way deep down nowhere near the house, so are you suggesting that, is that correct?
So let's,
It's right behind the trees.
let's go back to the plans.
It's like
So,
along the,
so,
standing looking in, I think it was on the left, like midway
Far back.
down.
More than, it's all the way at the northern
Really
part.
right, yeah, right the back.
so
I don't know my left and right, I have to do
you
that.
you guys will see on my screen here in a second. So this shaded area here is the footprint for the house.
Right.
This right here, this dashed line with the triangles is the limit of your vernal pool. So this right here from this patio or from this rear corner of the house to wetlands flags 7 and 8 are your closest areas, or that's the closest distance from your house to the vernal pool in the back.
I was thinking of, he flagged where he saw egg masses. and that
No,
was
That's
no,
in the far back.
My bad. my
that's okay.
confusion.
We don't have to. I mean, it's up to you guys. I think the whole placarding thing is a little hokey, but it's supposed to be like a reminder for, I guess, the homeowners, right? That there's a wetland there.
Well,
Their homeowners issue notice or what?
the placard is phrased to say environmentally sensitive area. So it could be a water course, a wetland, a vernal pool. It's essentially meant to be a cover-all phrase for any resource.
Pop one up somewhere on the side of the vernal pool somewhere, or on one on each side, maybe.
So first you have to think of the number of placards you want installed, and the second would be where.
One or two, either one on the left side or right side, your discretion, or two on one on either side of the vernal pool on a tree somewhere.
Right, if you're walking in either direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm indifferent, I don't care if they're there, but if you guys want them there, I'll fully support it as well.
They're
I would say
small, right, Dave?
either side of the pool when you're walking in. They're not like a make or break for me.
I don't need them there because there's gonna be that tree break there, and I think it's gonna be unconducive to walking in that space.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna wanna walk in that vernal pool.
But
No,
that's
it's
where
their
I'm at.
backyard.
I don't care that much.
I don't know. Then why are we using them at all? Then why have them? Why even talk about it?
You know, kids go everywhere.
Greg said.
I know, the only person that's gonna read that is a kid, and the kids aren't gonna.
If you guys don't want to use them,
Right, like,
I'm only suggesting using them because we've talked about using them, and this is
Yeah,
a
we had
situation
that,
where
we had that application a long time ago where there was like a lawn that was running down, and then there were gonna be like.
Yep.
grasses,
there.
and it was
Walnut
good,
Hill. Or
really
yeah,
good, that space, you remember that one, Nico?
Yep.
Yeah, and it seems to me that was good to really denote it, because it wasn't maybe so clear. But after walking this site, I'm not sure that it doesn't matter, I'm not
I
that.
know. I mean, if anything, like a body of water like the one that was in that, you know, in that application, if I'm remembering correctly, was like so much more obvious. Like here, it's like a vernal pool. People might not think it's, people don't know what to make of vernal pools necessarily. They're just kind of low depressions in the landscape that are overgrown with weeds to most people probably.
Well, I think if the commission, if those that were there for this. If those commissioners that were there for the sidewalk can recall, when you observed that, when you observed that flooded vernal pool, it was pretty well flooded. There was standing water in it. So. That may have been unseasonable for that time of year, but a vernal pool is exactly that. It at some times of the year, it can be a pool, so I
If it
don't.
snows, it'll fill up.
I don't think, I don't think it will be, that hard for, whoever owns this property to say that this is somewhere that stays dry all year, because it won't. There, at some point during the year, there will be water in it.
Every year.
Yeah.
So consensus of the commission on this is what? No? You guys don't want
I'm
them?
gonna say no on this one, just for this particular one, no.
I don't need them.
Here's a condition that I will suggest as staff. That the commission incorporate, that I'm just thinking of off the cuff. And you can watch me type this here on my screen. Let's go to. Here we go. Nico, you can follow me because I'm gonna have this right up on, actually, before I do that, here we go. Nope, sorry. Just bear with
They're
me.
small, right? Why don't you just pop one up on a tree someplace next to the vernal pool? Call it a
And
day.
I have an idea. Okay.
Just use your discretion.
Let's see if you. Can we zoom in? Let me go to page width. Oh, yeah, we can.
Isn't this one of those things that we can leave to you? Like
Ready?
we can put it
Ready?
Yes.
to our agent?
All buffer plantings must be installed prior to the issuance of a zoning compliance certificate.
That's good.
What does
So
that mean?
So that way, that buffer has to, must be installed and inspected
Oh, I
by
see what
the
you're doing.
inland wetlands agents.
So is it in your purview then to ask him to put up placards if you feel that they would be beneficial in that area?
No, because I need to get direction from the commission for that.
Just
This is just a suggestion. If you guys don't think this condition is appropriate, then it's getting taken out.
Okay,
No,
so
I
good
think
with that.
it's
buffer plannings
it's
would be
important.
before construction
Yeah.
and all that started.
absolutely.
Well, no, so if I had to venture, well, without having the benefit of recalling the sequence of construction for this property. The buffer plantings will probably be one of the last things that are installed.
Okay.
Cause you don't want them getting destroyed while all this work's taking place.
Gotcha.
But before anyone gets a CO, for that matter, to live in this house, they're gonna have to get a zoning compliance certificate. If that's in place, they're gonna have to get me to go out there and take a look at the property. If I go out there and those buffer plantings as shown on the plan are not installed, then guess what?
No CO.
No CO.
Mhm.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah.
As shown
Important, yeah.
on the site plan. Does anyone have any other conditions that they can think of to add? Are they okay with the conditions that were initially included?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So,
So I make a motion that we accept the resolution of approval as written with David's amendment on item condition number 8 to be accepted.
and this would be based on reasons 1 through 3 as
Sorry.
written in the draft resolution of approval.
Based on reasons 1 through 3 written on the draft approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Everybody, motion passed.
Okay. Very good.
Next
Can't
up,
wait for the next motion. So excited.
Nashville Road.
So I will.
Let me save this.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you, Mr. Gill.
You too. You must be a Bruins fan.
Yeah.
Are you players too?
I used to.
Yeah, it's the same with that. 2 14-year-olds. One place for the Colonials travel band, so it's like
Oh, nice.
go everywhere every weekend.
None of the schools had teams.
Okay.
Just, so we had played on Berkshire.
So I am going to. There we go.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great night.
coming. Have a good night.
I will be in touch with you then about, some of those things we talked about.
Yes,
Thank
very
you.
good, sir.
Yep.
All right, good night, thank
Good
you.
night.
Take care.
Oh, is there, I parked and I had to walk all the way around. Walk. Can I go
Yeah.
out?
Oh, no, you can,
No, you
yeah,
can
you
walk.
can go out,
Right down
Right
to
down
your.
at the bottom of the stairs,
great.
sir.
yeah.
All right, so I am going to bring up the draft resolution of approval for
Right.
42 Nashville Road. It is on the screen. Mr. Jordan, let me know if you can read that. Appears to be away from his computer at the moment. Mr. Jordan?
Very nice guy.
Did we get that?
Okay, can you see the draft resolution that's on my screen?
Yeah,
Okay, very good.
Scroll away.
Begin the Star Wars scroll. And I will go around and share this with you guys. Welcome.
can you zoom out a little bit, Dave? Just like a
Oh,
minute?
wow, sure, I can do that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were walking.
Oh,
around.
that's okay.
Are you
That's
eating
okay.
something? What are you eating?
I have a paperclip.
Don't eat
It's a
that.
tasty.
You've resorted to eating paper clips. That's how
Right
bad.
about now, it's acceptable.
It's
I
late
didn't have
enough to
dinner.
eat paper.
Oh my God, that's what
Don't
we've
eat
made
that
it.
like that.
into.
David, you get your.
Okay,
He
can you
runs-
read that now?
He runs with scissors too.
Yeah,
Okay, is this scroll speed okay?
yep, it's perfect, thanks.
Let's try this again.
That speed.
I read, did you guys know that Bethel is one of the longest, we have one of the, like, I read that report that Dave sent us, and it was like, Bethel and Stamford, we take an average of like 40 minutes per application or something like that. I guess that doesn't come as a surprise to us, maybe.
Do other people take longer or less?
Less, but they aren't as awesome as we are.
I was gonna say, that just means that we're invested.
And we have the best attendance rate of any town in Connecticut as well. 96%, or we share that.
It's not boilerplate.
What is it? What rate?
It's far away.
96% we have, but I don't, that's probably was done before like my time on the commission, but
Not that I'm interested in this conversation, but can we stay focused on the task at hand?
yeah.
Do you not have a draft? Does everybody have a draft resolution?
I'm sharing with Craig. Yeah,
Let me get you one.
it's fine. He doesn't want it anyway.
We didn't give her one. You
No,
didn't-
I
you
thought
wouldn't
I-
let her vote in
No,
the
no, no, no,
meetings.
no.
and
Wait,
No,
Dave,
no.
this is all boilerplate, right? Same as the last one?
Right.
Pretty
but-
much, and we were adding 2 stipulations in on this one, I believe.
Right, there
Oh.
are conditions that are added, which the commission will discuss, but I wanted to get through this part first before we did that. I think I have enough time to do this real quick before school.
It's the same as the other one.
Yeah, we just need to add those
Looks like it.
stipulations.
Probably.
Anybody else not eat dinner?
I had my leftovers from lunch.
So that's-
I just got my bed.
I want that too.
It was an hour ago was bedtime.
Well.
That's all the same as the last one, right?
Yeah, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah,
Majority, yeah.
Put it in there.
In terms of the conditions and the reasons for your decision, They are more or less the same as what was initially presented to the commission for the previous draft resolution of approval. So if there are any conditions, specific conditions that you want added for this application, or if you want any conditions that were part of the initial draft to be revised, this is the time to discuss those.
I believe we discussed adding the condition that the property gets,
Survey.
right, that the wetlands get demarcated by.
Okay, hang on, let me bring this up on the screen.
I'm gonna
If
say it
possible,
wrong.
how do we word that? Because it's like, if because in this
Okay.
particular case, they needed to give us
Alright,
permission to do
Fire,
something.
so let me calculate.
I need a wetlands delineation, right? Is that what you're talking?
Hang on, we're getting there.
He's got it.
Okay, prior to the issuance of a zoning
I
permit,
get punchy after 9:30.
the applicants. Will, shall provide a,
Danielle,
Well,
I'd be coughing right on you. Sorry, Dave.
I'm sorry, Nico,
I said, sorry, Dave. I said, Danielle, I'd be coughing right on you right now if I was sitting right next to
Thank you for not being here.
you.
I'm just gonna miss your puppies.
applicant,
Well, I can show you them in a
alright.
minute.
Can you continue with your train of
Is it a-
thought, Danielle?
The applicant shall request
Permission to conduct to allow I don't know what the name of the appropriate professional is.
Were we either gonna ask for
Surveyor.
Well,
a soil scientist
so-
or a surveyor to?
Well, a soil scientist is the expert that flags wetlands. A surveyor would be the one that locates where those flags are. So are you asking,
Soil scientist.
are you asking for both of those services to take place?
No,
No.
I'm
No.
good with this survey.
Well, actually, I don't
Actually, it's
I
up
don't
to
wanna
you
die
guys.
on a hill. No, I don't. But I'm asking if the purpose of us doing this is to be aligned with what our usual procedures are, do we usually require both of those things?
So it's you have to go with what the applicant's telling you. The applicant is telling you that they go by the Department of Consumer Protection Standards. I as a resource that I referred to as part of my review, I looked at the Department of Administrative Services Consultants Procedure Manual, and that's where I got that excerpt from that I read during the site plan review. It's at your there's an appendix in the regulations that I read as part of the site plan review. I can read that again. It says locations on or near the affected property of any wetlands and water courses, bogs, marshes, swamps as defined these regulations. That's map contents.
So that'd be a surveyor.
So yeah, a map would be a survey.
And is a surveyor qualified to map the delineation of the wetlands, or would a soil scientist be required in order to do that? Because that's the information that we're looking
So
for.
soil scientists can, they are the experts that delineate where wetlands are. Surveyors locate the work that soil scientists do.
So am I incorrect in saying that we need the soil scientist and that's what we're trying to do?
No, you would not be incorrect.
So then we want a soil scientist. Now you're asking if we also want a surveyor to make a note and a permanent record of what the soil scientist.
Well, because you have to get the work that the soil scientist did on paper
So
somehow.
then I guess we need both. Am I wrong?
I would say, you're asking for both. If the commission is comfortable with accepting mapping. Or perhaps having a surveyor try to approximate where the wetlands are, it's at your level of discretion.
Right, I'll step back and let the committee discuss them.
The survey, it sounds like the survey is what we want, right?
Well,
The survey is
you already have a survey of the property.
So we don't need a survey, so.
The surveyor
confused.
can't delineate the borders of the wetland, a soil scientist can, and the surveyor then makes.
So then we need
record
the
of
soil
it.
scientist, right?
I'm sorry?
So we need the soil scientist, correct?
Right, right.
I thought this whole time that was a soil scientist that needed to provide us with the delineation
Okay, so.
of it, so that was my understanding.
Stipulation would be that because it's not on their property, they have to ask for permission to get a soil scientist.
Make a good faith attempt.
Okay.
Is that the right language?
The applicant. Um.
Why don't we just tell them to submit a wetland delineation?
Cause you can't trespass
It's not their property,
on
so they
other
have to
people's
ask
property
for
without
permission.
permission.
Ask the neighbor.
The wetlands are on a neighboring property, you can't force them to go on there. You have to have permission by the
Shall
owner.
contact the property owners where the wetlands is located and request permission to.
Right, but how? But the contact is one thing.
Yes, and.
But knowing that that was done is another.
How do we know is the question, yeah.
Make a good faith.
Include the committee
effort.
on communications,
And submit.
Well, how are you
If
gonna
possible.
find that out?
certify a letter.
Oh,
How about a good faith estimate? I mean, a good faith is. Wouldn't imply that you're gonna lie about it, right?
I know, you're asking somebody to do something that's right, and I believe that they would, to be honest, I believe that they would
I
ask,
think it
but
would be good to
know
have some
what you-
accountability for it.
I know, but I would like to say that, come on, man.
I would like to have some accountability.
If you want accountability for it, mailing, certified mailing is a good.
Dave was shaking his head even more. than-
No, I'm not shaking my head. I'm trying to think in my head. How to write this. I've got it. The documentation required to show documentation requested by the commission to show the regulated water course on the abutting property or
Provide.
Or else.
or submit a letter indicating
I'm not hoping.
that access
Was denied.
to conduct to delineate and indicate to conduct this work was not successful.
That sounds good. Perfect.
What do we, does this serve the purpose that you wanted to?
Sure. How about you guys?
Because you guys were just worried about some sort of legal precedent thing, right?
Well, no, he
Primarily,
said he went
Yeah.
over there and nobody was home, so.
Well, across the street, I don't even know if they know.
Yeah.
Who
it doesn't indicate that it has to be by a soil scientist, though.
I'm sorry.
across. Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying, like, we don't actually need this, like, to know what it is. It's not like a wetland scientist. We don't need a wetland scientist because it's not like a very, tricky wetland that has to be tested for soil. We know what it is. It's a drainage ditch. It's intermittent water course. It's there. It's visible. That's the wetland, the subject wetland that we're talking about.
So is it worth putting this in at all?
No, I mean, I ultimately,
put it
like,
as-
as long as it doesn't, as
Yeah,
long as,
it
as long as
was-
they're not trying to say,
I wish to have it in.
Yeah, it was
It was
discussed,
discussed,
it was
so why-
approved. by
wait, can
them.
I just finish my thought?
Okay.
Because I understand that you guys wanted this in because it sounded like you were worried about setting a precedent to not include a delineated wetland would be like setting some, bad precedent, which I'm not sure about that we need to do that here. But the as long to me, practically speaking, as long as the applicant is not trying to say, oh, there is no wetland there, so we don't have to follow, the Connecticut general statutes in the Wetlands and Watercourses Act for our building permit. As long as they're not trying to say that, which it doesn't sound like they are, they're saying there's a wetland there, there's a stream. We just haven't gone through the hoops and ladders to prove it or to show it on a map.
The location of the wetland would be important because it speaks to
The
issues,
upland,
right? So if we don't
the
know
upland
exactly
review.
where it is, then
But
And that's-
they're already before us. They're not trying to skirt the wetlands regulations and like delineating the upland review area by a foot or two, like doesn't seem to be changing what they're doing. Unless I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like, are they not following the stormwater management practices? Are they not collecting the water? Are they basically saying like there is no wetland?
They are required to, and if that was an outstanding comment from the engineer that reviewed this application on the town's behalf, then they would have said that that's an outstanding comment.
What's an outstanding comment?
Which
They weren't
nothing
doing
in
this.
any of their review comments that they've submitted to date reflect such.
Reflect what?
That the applicant is not adhering to the stormwater quality manual.
They are. On the contrary, they're saying, yes, there is a water course there and we are taking measures to not let, and all the water's being treated, to go back to my initial question, correct?
Right, so
Collected.
there is a stormwater management system. There appears to be a stormwater management system that is going to address the water quality volume that would result from the development on this property.
Appears to be, or that there is? I mean, that
There
was
is.
the plan review we just went through.
There
That was my
is.
question. The guy said yes. Okay, so then we shouldn't really be worried if it's taken into account that there's a wetland and the water is going to be treated. But that's beside the point, or that's the actual reality point to me. But what I'm hearing from you guys, Danielle and Kevin earlier, was that, wait, no, if, we didn't want to set a precedent by like not getting a wetlands delineation or something like that.
Correct.
Correct.
Received in the, correct? Okay, so you guys do your thing and.
I'm in agreement with what you were saying, however, I don't want to set a precedent where it can be skirted. 'Cause it
Right,
might-
but I'm not sure, could it be though, Kevin? Because like,
Yeah,
if we ask,
you can argue any of it, absolutely, it could be skirted, because.
why? No, because then if we ask, we can ask, can't we ask for a wetlands delineation for any application? Can't we choose whether we need it or not, or no?
Well,
we need-
it depends on, well, you're not gonna ask for a wetlands delineation if a property doesn't have any wetlands near it.
Well, then it wouldn't even be before our meeting, Dave, right? Before our
Right.
committee. So
Right.
why are we saying that?
You want to give somebody an argument that they would not have in their pocket in the future by foregoing it. And I don't have enough time on this board to say that I would like to forego it because I don't know the
look,
consequences.
They can't deny it. I don't think they can't deny it if we ask for it, right? A wetlands delineation with a wetlands commission.
So Nico, let's look into the future and say that there's another property that's a similar example of this. And they say that they've taken their tape measure and they've gone out and they've measured it and it's 25 feet away from blah, blah, blah. But we don't actually have a survey or a soil scientist who's confirmed that. And it turns out that it's actually 10 feet away from that. You see what I'm saying? So
little things that we might miss, we
Right.
want to make, this is
So
a stopgap. This is a measure to prevent that from
I'm
happening.
gonna say that we are basing our approval of this application on information that we have reviewed and we have approved. Then for me personally, I will speak for me, I want that
Yeah.
information to be confirmed by professionals.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Well stated.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, so is the way condition 8 is worded on the screen now? Is that satisfactory for this, for the commission?
I'm good with it.
Yes.
Okay, let me, I'm sorry, let me move this text box. here
Yes,
so that we
I'm
can
okay with it. Nope, I got it.
I mean, because it actually, it is there, but it's so old and so shaky, like.
Totally.
Yeah, I just don't wanna, I'd rather make the
Was
request than
not
Yeah,
granted.
it couldn't hurt to make the request.
Should it-
Doesn't
what-
hurt.
Explain why access was not granted or?
Access to the property.
Isn't it public park? Isn't Overlook Park across the street anyway? Isn't that?
One of the parcels that abuts this, or that is across the street is Overlook Park.
Across the street.
Another parcel is private property.
Oh. Okay. Because if it's Overlook Park, then you just don't-
I'm trying to remember what that was.
The only one I have down is the soil sign. That was it. That's the one that I had. If there might have been a second one, but that's the only one that I had denoted. Here. Nashville as part of the resolution of the.
No, it's all Overlook, man. Isn't it, Dave? That's. or
Joey
no?
knocked on the door of the
Part of,
house.
you know, those two, one looks abandoned, one, I'm not quite sure what's going on with
Yeah, I'm looking at the satellite right now.
those things.
All right.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so that's across.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those, yeah, the one on the northern end, the property, I believe, is partially,
Oh,
God knows whose.
Okay.
yeah, along the road.
So if we go to Bethel GIS, I'm gonna bring this up on the screen so everyone can take a look. The property for this application is highlighted here in red. The property that is across the street from this application is on
Oh, it's all private.
7 Nashville Road,
Oh, I stand corrected, bro.
listed in Maureen Campbell.
Okay,
That's all private. Okay, okay.
House owns all that property.
wow.
I know exactly where
It's
that.
contiguous with Overlook, but it's not part of Overlook. Okay.
That's correct.
So, very good.
Big yard, very big yard. It's not woods.
Unusable.
It's all woods.
Unusable.
Wood.
So
So-
I'm going to bring this back up on the screen. Is there anything else the commission would like to discuss?
Not this.
Are we at the
I-
end of this?
I don't think so. I don't have any notations for anything else to it. Just had to add that one stipulation. So if there was something else, it's beyond me.
So I guess we make a motion to accept the resolution of approval for 42 Nashville Road. Based on comments 1 through 8,
Well, there's conditions 1 through 8,
conditions 1 through 8,
and you're basing it on reasons 1 through 3.
and reasons 1 through 3 in David's resolution of approval. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I recuse myself.
You recused, yes, so it's the 4 of us.
Okay,
That
And
was-
one
Pat
abstention.
had- Well, yeah, because Pat had recused herself from that
right,
section.
okay. Very good.
Alright, super. Oh, yeah, we're going to the
Do it,
adjournment. David,
Hang on.
staff comments,
Are we?
commissioner comments.
The next meeting, I will say, it's important for everyone that can attend, i.e. Nico, Danielle and Kevin. You're doing your election of officers. We have next year's in the wetlands meeting calendar to decide on. Please make every effort to attend, get familiarized with the new members. I think it's worth giving a shout out to Mr. Johnston and Ms. Sell and give some brief recognition for your years of service to this board. Thank you very much. I wish there was more that we could do to recognize what you have done. And the same goes for Mr. Parafort. for who unfortunately could not join us tonight.
Unfortunately, because he's long time.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not coming back,
How many years was he? As
he's out too?
He just ran for election.
Mr. Parafor was not
That's right.
reelected to this board.
He was not?
He was not.
No, we had a recount, 3 votes to 4 votes.
That's correct.
Danielle won one more vote.
Right.
Wait, they
So-
weren't running against each other though. I thought you guys were running, I thought there were 2 spots to fill.
There were,
So-
and the Republicans took the open seat that Greg is vacating,
Oh,
I- hoping to take that seat, not take Pat's seat.
oh, crazy. But it was great. It's been great serving with you guys. Greg, what a fitting time we get to have you as our chair on the last, is it your last meeting?
the last hurrah.
I like that. I liked you as chair this meeting.
Hired as the Wizard of Wet. How's that?
Dude, that was a nice,
Well,
that
if
was,
you wanna really publicize that name.
I'm all for it.
You're gonna get some weird Google.
it's been an honor.
Okay, I don't
Let's see
have
if there-
anything
here
else
it
to
is.
add. Thank you very much, guys. Much
You'll be there.
appreciated. There are 2 other items, commission comments and public comments that you should go through.
Commission and comments.
Well, the swearing in for the new folks is December 4th,
Okay,
7 o'clock at the middle school, and there'll be food.
oh, cool.
All I can say is I wish you guys luck. It was a pleasure serving with you all.
Don't
It
worry.
really was.
Learned a lot.
No, I'm not a patient person. I'm sorry. But you guys, you're in good hands, David, and you guys are very thorough. I'm sure you'll do a great job.
We come to your house and put placards around it?
No,
No. Thanks,
No.
Greg.
I'm putting big lights and a stage up. But I don't, I'll actually do, but never mind.
Stay alive.
Well played, sir.
All right, so I make a motion to adjourn at
Too late.
49 PM.
I second.
All right.
I.
All those in favor? Okay.
I'm out.
I wanna go to bed.